Skibbity.
Skibbity.
It's also, I think, we're not for sure.
Welcome to the Edson Breedy Experience.
Welcome to the Edson Breedy Experience. Tonight we are here with David Valentine. Valentine.
Correct.
I was laughing at him earlier because I went to school with his brother Daniel Valentine. They were twins.
You're not twin. You're he's my older brother.
Twin.
Older brother.
Like by 5
I'm about there.
minutes.
He's there plus.
By 4 minutes. He's older. How old? How
He's
much?
4 years older.
He's 4 years older. I didn't know you were so much younger than me. I thought we were like the same age. Okay, so some of you might recognize David from his awesome TikTok and YouTube channels. On TikTok, you can find him at Valley_S.
Yeah.
Valley_S. On YouTube at Valley's Tutor Professionals. He does great tutorials for a few subjects at the CXC level. He's also a teacher at Corpus Christi College, and for Form 4 and Form 5. And today we're going to talk a little bit about education and talk a little bit about martial arts, of course, because David used to do Taekwondo with us at Edson Breedy Taekwondo, and he also is a national karate athlete. So welcome, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. So we're gonna warm up with a game, obviously. So we're starting off with a game called Lingo, which I think our students, my teen students, your teen students, will find entertaining. So the way the game is gonna work, Commander, who is behind the camera, is going to ask us some lingo, some Gen Z lingo, and we're going to have to write down what we think it really means. All right, so I think we have like 10, 15 words.
So much?
Yeah, so y'all can play along at home. Y'all can play along at home and see if y'all get it, and you can laugh at us if you think we're too old to know what these words
All right, so let's kick it off. So the way lingo goes, I say the slang or the useful term, and you are going to tell me, write it down, what you think it means. Should I say it in context or just give you?
give you
Right.
and then
Okay.
we might ask the context if we like
All
really
right.
let's write big enough so anybody on screen can see when
Let's
it's looking
see.
at the camera.
All right, so I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. So the first word we're gonna start with is ick.
Ick. Alright.
Okay, that's
That kind of
okay,
easy.
right?
Yeah.
Ooh. Turn off.
Yeah.
Or something you don't like. Because
All
the
right,
ick.
yes, both of you are
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The answer is the thing that Rose says one.
Like Karate, for example.
Yeah, so I guess you're both right.
Oh, I guess
Give me point.
you know what I guess is so I guess we both get 1 point. But I guess what it can be Karate. I don't think
Karate, because Karate is so.
Oh, you was
It's-
Yeah, it's terrible though.
I think it is particularly for like
Alright.
romantic partners.
So who thinks Karate is delicious then?
No, so how the example
okay,
that I
okay,
was
okay.
given, the example I was given is hilarious. It says, his cheap ways gave me. It's just like it bothers you, like a peeve.
Yeah.
It's like a peeve.
Okay, so
Right? So turn off is good and something you don't like. I think those can both, be awarded a point. I think you should write a point in each corner
yeah.
of your book.
1 for 1.
All right. So the other one is cap.
Cap. Easy.
Good. We're not too old. That's all.
Lie. Not true. Okay, so we'll get a point then.
What is the origin of that? What does that mean? How it became free?
Used in response to something outrageous, I guess. That's what we
Hopefully,
say.
the first business say that is cap, and it just
Because it means something if you put it
Yeah.
as a language about it. So you both
Right.
2 for 2. Students pro.
Right, so the next one is already Riz.
easy.
How is that? I was struggling with this.
Oh gosh, I use that slang to describe it. But same thing.
I hope I spelled that right.
Yeah, but Yeah, it's looking okay. It's looking okay.
And you have game.
Charisma and game. Alright, so it really is short for charisma.
Charisma, yeah.
Right? Charms.
Yeah.
Our game could be actually seen as that as well. Oh,
Alright.
y'all ready?
See, you do it here just for sure.
I sorry. Mental E.
Mental B?
Oh, no.
What is that?
Mental beat.
So it's the whole thing, right? So it's not, he's not short for something.
Mental B.
Menti B?
Menti B.
Menti B or mental B?
It's both.
Alright, we need context.
And me.
I think we need context.
Wait.
I was surprised that Edson knew that was before.
Mental.
Mental E.
Hey, no cheating over there.
No, outside. Out.
Can we get context? Like say it's in a sentence.
It actually doesn't even have an example on this one.
Jeez.
But try best not to have a mental E.
Mental breakdown.
I mean, it's not gonna put that. It's not gonna put that. It's not gonna put that.
Who's writing this? What is that, Edson? What is that?
Yeah, doctor.
Good job, guys. Good job. Good job to the mental blow.
Give a point that says after.
That is why the prescription is like that.
Right. Okay. Great. All right.
Let's be Russian.
I take an point, huh?
All right. The next one is Slint.
Slay. Yeah, but no slaves.
Oh, the definition's long, right? All right. Thing. All right. Cool.
Do you think girl, slay girl, mash up the thing girl?
Slay means you do great.
Yeah, you did
I
good.
slay.
You're doing well. You're killing it.
Doing
You're
it.
the best. All right.
Come on, they're looking unsure about your answer over there.
I had to squint to see.
Oh,
So,
But just killing it, doing well.
all right.
Use that explanation. Slay. Yeah.
yeah, but this one here, that one. I'm having a mental need.
Delulu. That should be easy.
Boom.
Thank you. You take long to write that fancy. I'm not giving you the point. I'm not giving you the point.
You mean that's specific?
I'm not.
You mean that's specific?
No, I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong.
It's just delusional.
I tried to be too
It's not
specific.
enough positive.
I tried to be
It doesn't matter. It's most frequently used to say.
positively though, right? Like people say,
No,
I'm
nah,
delulu.
No.
Like,
Like when you say that person is delulu, you really mean that delusional.
but they usually,
Not
I think
another-
usually saying it like in a good way. I'll take my.
It's like he's a good rapper, but he do.
Yeah, first
yeah,
of all, it
that's
takes too long to write.
What's that? What was I trying to put in? Yeah, overdo.
All right. Oh wow,
So
this one is
We 4-5, right?
No, this one is
Nah, you didn't get the point just now.
So that
You
one
want
I didn't
before?
get the point.
You want before you didn't get the points?
I get
6.
four.
It's how much with you lose? Not 6?
I think it was 5.
we take well,
How much was we did? Not it wasn't 6?
I believe was 5, 6.
Yeah, you missing a point.
Okay, that's for sure.
See, I'm cheating.
All right, 8.
What? Oh,
8. You
I'm
think?
using slang to explain the slang, eh? But you understand what I mean?
Masha.
You get on bad.
Great.
You mash up. You take.
It's the same as slay, basically. Yes, it's a direct compliment. You've done very well. You beat that up.
Mhm.
that's so good.
This one is hard.
Come on.
Okay, rat.
Rat?
Rat.
Okay.
As a slang.
Oh, okay. I have a little daughter. I'm supposed to know this.
It's in like an adult way? Because it's like an adult brat.
No. It's not. Let's say it. 12, that's the old way. We have the heads, don't change your answer.
They can't listen to my answer and change it.
Can I see what you've written, sir?
We can take it wrong together.
Because he's
Hey.
not right.
Girl who wants a lot.
No. So basically, it was introduced this summer by a British pop star, Charlie XCX, and denotes a confident, carefree, and rebellious attitude. Example, it's a brat summer.
That's not being spoiled.
That's like they want
It's
a lot.
confident, carefree, and rebellious attitude.
That's some spoiler.
That's how it's supposed
It's
to be.
some spoil, but not spoil.
Alright.
It's a brat summer. It can't say it's a spoil
I'll take my
summer.
L. I'll take my.
What's all the get?
I'll take. I wonder if L is one. But that's
What's all the get? It's a big zero. Alright, guys, the next one is. This is kind of strange. Aura.
Aura, like you can say aura.
It's kind.
Yeah, I know aura is like a.
This one should be.
I'm distracted. Oh, okay.
So you see, feel the person aura, feel his charm, his spirit, his presence. He's just extra cool. Understand?
Yeah. So you said child?
So like you said, like the guy in the Olympics, the guy in the
Good
Olympics.
job, Edson. It's a person's overall energy.
Right.
So I'm going to give David it because he wrote it before you.
So that's the official. We want to show it first?
No, I'm just saying, you waited until he said what it was.
No,
and then
You tried to before. You tried to before. I ain't gonna fight.
Yeah, I was just underlining.
You tried to before. You tried to before. Give it.
I don't think he should get it.
What?
Give it. I said
This
it
will
needs so.
be right
Right, David is rooting for you. You can
back.
have it for it. Alright. Okay, so
One-
it's not fight.
That's what you.
Who you talking about? You could take this guy?
Yeah, he had no equipment. He just had glasses, and he come second. He had aura.
So I thought the Korean girl had a
Yeah, boy, she too, and she break the record and getting on like this Tuesday.
Alright, guys. So the next one is.
I still erase it. Hold on before you. Better give me that.
They'll give next
Because that's
excuses.
the score is 5, man.
This one, huh? Skibbity.
Skibbity.
It's think. Oh, well, I've reached you.
Let me see.
According to a video I watched on TikTok, I think it's also correct.
Toilet.
Is it the Skibbity toilet?
It is.
It's not bad. You are closer than Edson. It is bad. Basically, that if they say that's skibbity, it's
It's annoying. It's terrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you good there.
Yeah.
David get you.
Just thank my son.
I told you was in Skibidi as a good song.
Please watch this video called Skibbity toilet.
That's why you put toilet.
Apparently,
He's like toilets. Skibbity toilet.
apparently it's like the most viewed thing now.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why. He's over 3 million videos.
You ready?
Mhm.
Alright, so the next one is gonna be period.
Period.
Facts. Okay, alright. Okay. It's
So bad.
yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
kind of like a top line.
Yes.
I've
It's
spoken.
more-
I've spoken.
It's a more talk than facts. That's all.
So
That's
it's
it.
completed.
So stop. So
Nothing else.
so how that talk came about, right? You know, the first stuff is a period, right? That's the end.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
that's what
full
the
stop,
first-
that's it. It's like, but you wrote facts first, eh?
I may
Facts
trump
on the
all.
line.
I may trump all my boy to make sure I get my
And
points.
the talk done. I talk was done. I prefer to give attention to
Should I put a period?
a period with a T at the end of that period. Period.
True.
That's how they do. That's how they do.
I get the point, so.
Sigma. What is that? Elite? Strong person.
I'm alpha, I'm sigma.
Alpha, so like alpha person. I'm like a strong person. Now this is sigma.
Is the opposite of skibbity. So skibbity is trash and sigma is rounded.
So elite is top tier,
But you usually use sigma really to describe people.
right? That person is elite.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess, but not a strong person.
Not a strong person.
I won't say that's the definition that I received.
It was the definition of it.
Good.
So elite is a synonym.
I
Elite.
good is what I have. That's what I'm working with.
So okay, these synonyms
say-
are good, right?
I think you should decide amongst
If you say if you say somebody's, because I feel like sigma is like the new version of saying alpha. You used to say that person
Okay.
that person's an alpha, that person's an alpha, and now they don't say that anymore. They say
It's just
That's
sigma.
They use both actually.
but it's just sigma like more. Yeah, like
No, but they use sigma as a slang.
but you don't say like you wouldn't say like the food sigma. But you wouldn't be like the food sigma.
No.
You'd say that
That
person
person
is
is
sigma,
that
and that
person
person
is
is sigma because
Is a strong person.
so Steph Curry is Steph Curry is sigma because he's elite in
Right.
basketball.
Right.
I feel
So
like
you're selling this and he's selling
I think we both should get myself.
Okay.
You
Right.
Sorry.
Alright. A couple of those things. Bussin'.
That's what cool.
and that was that look also.
Yeah, that's
I would say that look.
And I will call them that. It wasn't.
yes.
My wife's food is busting.
Yeah. It's tasting, that it's tasty, it's impressive. It's usually connected to food. Delicious. Good job, I'd say. Say less.
So I can't get a good job too. Really?
You have tried. Good job, David.
Thanks.
Say less.
Oh, say less.
Mm-hmm.
I used that on our video on our comment just now. Somebody asked me to do something, I say less. It's done.
What about it?
Yeah. Yes.
No. So say less. Yes, I
You don't have to say anything more.
I guess. Yeah, it could be an eye
Message.
In a way, does mean I understand. Yeah.
Conveys clear agreement of
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
Shared feelings and
Some
stuff.
food.
Yeah. So I understand it's good. Yeah.
I understand.
I understand it's good.
Say that.
I like David's energy.
See, I need numbers. So I don't mind. If I was behind, it'll be a whole difference, and we'll by one.
You in the lead.
By one.
Right.
If I was behind, it'll be a whole different.
Now I understand. Say less. Alright, I think that will bring us to the end of the segment.
You sure we don't have
Yeah.
another?
Let me see if I can have one.
I think this. You sure we have time?
If I can find one more.
I'm getting tired.
So let me see. Goat.
What?
Goat.
Coat?
Goat.
Goat. Oh, come now, man. Fuji. Greatest of all time, though.
Good job, guys.
Plan created by LL Cool J back in 19. Okay, so I make up a year. It was created by LL Cool J.
5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14.
Oh, you're 14.
14.
Oh, you're 14. This is our 14. This is our 13.
How
I'm 14.
Time?
I supposed to be in front by
We
one.
got a tiebreaker.
I was counting this. Wait. I was counting this. Go back to the words there. I look up at 7.
5, 6, 7.
All right, the words word. The words word. If I can recall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, any type of object and draw.
1,
Yeah.
Riz,
2,
Lantini,
3,
Lulu,
4,
Barat,
5.
we are get brass.
Yeah.
Cats,
We are get brass, right? 6. 7 we didn't get. 7,
8,
8,
Slay,
3.
Cat.
Cap, no, we did not get brass. Both of us did not get brass.
You're right.
Yeah, so we are 9 now.
Right.
All right.
Say less.
10.
10.
Boston.
That's it.
Go this.
It's that one you didn't get.
And Skibbity.
It's that one you didn't get.
I don't think it's
Skibbity.
Skippity, I didn't. Skippity, I
13.
didn't get. I didn't.
13. Mm-hmm.
And then this was the other.
You're on 12
The
there, right?
last one that I gave you, which was good.
So you have an extra one. You see?
And congratulations.
I like to thank,
English cheap.
first and foremost, I like to thank God with him, without him. It's possible. I thank my supporting wife, my children.
Shout out to the moral
Your kids will grow. Kids will grow.
Skibbity.
Skippity.
Nah, shout out to Dante.
Skibbity toilet.
Sure.
Actual show called Skibbity.
Yeah, Skibby. I have no idea. Just random faces in toilets attacking things.
I don't even have
And then cameramen fighting it. I don't know. My son shows me it all the time. It's like, way cool.
No, so I have a question, guys. Have you all been like taking in these YouTube videos for kids and like what it's so different to cartoons and what we grew up with was kids content.
we had some crazy things we still watch too.
I understand, but I'm just saying like the videos in particular that I'm talking about are the YouTube videos that are like of them filling up balloons with different paint things or some kind of documentary. Like it's not a cartoon. It's not what we grew up with. What do y'all think about that?
Which type? Which type you don't like? I'm not sure if you say they don't like it.
No, I don't like it.
Because you have
It's
lots of
so
good stuff
different.
and they have lots of terrible stuff.
Yeah, it's so different. Like even okay, let's say these episodes with the different Spider-Man. Have you all seen those?
I have.
With these group, it's adults dressed up in Spider-Man costumes, running like bikes, things, and they're doing weird things, but they also like
Is that
making
true?
confetti and paint and
Yeah.
whatever.
I've seen this.
It's really strange, but there's so something to it.
So I mean, I don't know, boy. I feel like each generation always have a weird thing. So if you look back on things that we used to watch, we had some weird stuff too. If you used to watch Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah,
But what about cotton chicken?
and cat dog.
Yeah, but Ren and Stimpy
Ren and Stimpy was
particularly
gross.
weird and gross. Yeah. And even if you look back at like some real old Disney stuff, they had some weird sexual,
Some real adult joke.
strange things in there.
That's true.
I think what had happened back then too is they knew that adults would be watching.
Yeah.
That's how I try to
So
rationalize.
they're like, okay, they're gonna make it entertaining for the kids and the adults. The
Yeah.
kids don't know. So the adults catching
Yeah, 'cause
the jokes.
when I was at youth, I didn't know, except Ren and Stimpy. I remember watching them and be like, it's real, it's real. You can stop watching.
Even cat dog was a little wondering on strange. I don't know, like I noticed that it's not a cartoon. It's real live footage
Mhm.
of people doing things in costume.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know if that changes how a child sees things. Because when we watch cartoons, we know it's a fantasy, it's a cartoon, it's a drawing, it's a picture, you know what I mean? But they're putting it in really live situations. I'm not sure how kids are perceiving that.
But they seem to like it. The pioneer for that was Ryan. I don't know if you know Ryan. So
Mm.
he's a child he's a big man now, but as a child, he used to, just play with toys online. And children would love this. Like this man will have a transformer, and he's just playing with the transformer, and children are just watching, I want that transformer. And toy companies just start selling them toys and stuff like that, and he was making, I think, $1 million.
Wow.
Easily.
Like millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Just playing with toys as a child.
And then
So
other
that is
people,
made back.
yeah, and other people start to make physical content like that as well. They're doing random stuff. The more random it gets, the more views they get, and the more money.
Okay.
They are not used to
So I want to start doing some physical content because I realize there aren't many local creators doing that kind of physical stuff.
Mhm.
So I might take a try at it sometime.
All right.
Some challenges. I wanted to do one of those balloon episodes. Let's try that out.
Well, that is hilarious. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I find it so humiliating.
It is.
when somebody
Well,
walks
the
up and
American,
says, "Your
the
balloon."
American ones, they really seem like people are out to humiliate people. In trend, the ones that's on trend are not as entertaining because people aren't trying to humiliate
Right.
people.
Yeah. They're not more considerate.
Yeah, they're a bit more considerate.
But, you know, you in the lineup, and the girl just walk out and pop your balloon for no, and
Yeah, boy.
you in your best class, your best. You come out looking tough, right? Fresh out the church.
You go
It's single
you'll be in the lineup. Well, no.
This is the my person. If I in the lineup with you,
No, I mean, like, if you do I never saw one of these.
exactly.
But both men and women together.
Yeah, I never saw one of those.
It's just like, it's, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but you do a lineup.
No, because a lot of the time the first question they ask you to pop the balloon of the person that you're least
That's
attracted
active too.
to,
Yeah.
and that's always a problem for me.
So then just
Physical appeal is
just
don't pop nobody else.
Yeah, everybody look. Because I've seen episodes where people came on and nobody popped any balloons and then they went to just questions.
So if I would be in the lineup, boy, interesting. I don't know. I think it's very superficial. And
It's
yet,
for the entertainment.
yeah, it's for entertainment. So, but that's not really my vibe. So just to entertain people with my
Still,
my
the
life,
spirits
with my whole life, I look at
with your self-esteem.
baby daddy out there.
Your self-esteem.
Right, just to entertain people with me 100. No man, that's a little nasty.
All right, let's get into what we want to talk about. How we can get started. So I mean, great job so far in your TikTok channel. I've seen some of your videos getting like tons of views now, right? And when did you start making content like that?
It was 2022. I think it was like May, June. I started doing a couple, and then one or two videos started to pick up. So I decided, let me try and pick up as well.
Yeah, Chow video was it? Yeah, one that hit the hardest. I think it's up 500,000 views or something.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
All the educational content are from my TikTok, but a video about channels.
Right.
It was like,
Which one?
Yes.
The one where you pretended to buy the channel is the one that got the most views, right?
yeah. Well, I didn't pretend. I actually bet the channel,
Right.
but I did not put the channel that was betting in the chow. That's true. That was
I mean, if it's a child for you,
It was
if it's your child for you and your family, we really okay.
It was
Buy that
It was a show that you brought.
Say chow challenge.
If you're sharing it with other people outside of your house, you had better not like that channel.
But yeah, I guess we're talking about how I guess you were saying that you have positive content and this what would you say this Soya content gets the most views?
It does.
Did you notice an influx in your views on the other content when you got an influx in views on the silly content?
A bit, but not really.
Yeah, there are some articles reading are saying that educational content performs the least, but the entertaining, humorous content is the one that has getting the highest views. So I really like the mix that you do. Because I think, as Kamada, I guess, alluded to, I think it should pull people to the channel, they can follow it. So then, even if they will start recommending to people when they see the other stuff that you do.
But you see, around CXC time, the educational content, because children want all the help they can get. So when you see videos of a video, basically doing a free, whereas get like hundreds, sometimes I think a day I got around 1,000 followers in a day from doing educational content. So
It's definitely underestimated how TikTok and Instagram would influence young people studying for exams. Because there is a lot of content online that can help them navigate their exams, etc. Doing helpful things. You know, and again, I'm a little envious. I wish I had some help.
boy.
Back in the school day.
Right?
You know, on TikTok, 1 minute, 30 seconds, breaking down the whole syllabus. Oh my gosh, that would have been great.
So now that I know that I have ADHD, I feel like the short content really helps me. So like even now studying at a postgraduate level, I follow a lot of psychiatrists who do short tutorials on medications and DSM criteria for different diagnoses and stuff, and they break it down really quick. And so I follow the channel, I'll go through and learn a lot more stuff. And if I try to sit down and just read for 3 hours or something like that, so it's really good that they have it available. As I was telling you, on edX, I did a course, a computer science course from Harvard, and in this computer science course, they provide live classes. Long form YouTube videos, and they also have a TikTok channel to teach the same content in short form. This is for people who study in shorter chunks. So you could choose and just go on short, going long, going live classes, and being able to have that available, I think is really important now. Speaking of ADHD, do you feel like you have a lot of kids who have problems focusing at school?
Definitely. Actually, wanted to ask you, how did you get diagnosed with ADHD?
No question. Because I only figured it out. So I mean, like, we diagnose people with ADHD.
Yeah.
And I only figured it out in a ward rounds. I figured it out in a ward rounds when my consultant was talking about people with who find out that they have ADHD as an adult, right? And he was talking about, it's a good one. So there are two major types of ADHD, right? There's the hyperactive type that most people, so these are the two major families, right? The hyperactive type, which everybody kind of knows about and is familiar with, and it gets spot that real quick from like a 7-year-old, right? They're running up and down, they just can't stop with the screaming, picking up the stick, putting down that thing, jumping on the couch, whatever, right? So that's it. I don't know how you diagnose it, but it's easy to see it and then start thinking, maybe I should get this person formally diagnosed, so that, right? And then there's another type called the inattentive type, which is a little bit harder to recognize, right? So, because you aren't hyperactive, but it's very hard for you to focus, and because it's hard for you to focus, it leads to different emotional things and stuff later on. So in the board rounds, he's talking about how there are a lot of professionals who adults who get diagnosed with ADHD much later on, and they usually present with depression. They don't come in and say, "Hey doc, I really can't concentrate," you know. It's actually, they usually get overwhelmed to the point that they feel depressed because they're not getting a lot of stuff done, and they show up in the emergency room like suicidal or something like that, because a lot of things are problem, right? And what he was explaining is that a lot of times with ADHD, if you had a really good support system, they could get away with it. So, say your parents were really supportive, they used to make food for you every day, they used to make breakfast, lunch, wash the dishes, wash all the clothes for you.
Some kind of routine.
There's a routine, and they were reinforced, and they used to take you to school, pick you back up, and they used to come and be like, "Hey, sit down here, do the homework," and they sit down with you and do the homework. You could get away pretty far, right? And a lot of times, if you're smart enough, you could develop coping mechanisms to help deal with your ADHD. And he was like, "Oh yeah, so some people in high school, they would end up doing something called body doubling, which is when it's time to study, they would need somebody else to come and study with them, just to be present, just to be present." So around study time, they'll be like, "Hey, come over now. We can do some work together." As a person who is being instigated the group study, right? And so luckily I had Nicholas. I'm not sure if you ever met my friend Nicholas. I'm not sure, but he's also a doctor. He's been on the podcast before. And anytime I needed to study, like 2 days before, I'd be like, "Nicholas, you need to come over here and we'll do the work together." After like 2 days of him just sitting there, and be able to retain the weight. So it works kind of like you can keep pace with somebody who's studying, right? So some people now do body doubling online. So sometimes now when I study, I go on YouTube and listen to music where there's somebody on screen studying.
Okay,
So they have TikTok channels also of people studying.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, all right, if that man is studying, he focus. And I have to stay focused and try to keep up with him.
Right.
I can't get up because he did and he pushed it. So I'll try to keep up with him body doubling. And so one of the problems with body doubling is that in high school it was really good. Because kids, teenagers like that whole social aspect of coming together, kind of lining and studying. Life is not as complex there.
They're mostly dealing with the same things.
Mostly dealing with the same things. In university, it could kind of work, but people start to get more busy and they have a little bit less support. They might be a little bit further away. Some people will be on campus, off campus. But that is hit you hard after university, like when they enter in the job. Because you're in the workplace, right? And you have the project due Friday. And it can't be like, hey, who wants to come over
And this
And
one-
this project? So now you might try it and you realize, wait, now nobody coming to help with the project. So you're accustomed getting your work done with a person or 2 or 3 people next to you, and you don't have that anymore. So
So basically, when in at work when we're discussing the signs
Yeah.
and symptoms of an adult with ADHD, you start thinking, "Oh, that's me."
yeah, so I heard one, and then he just kept naming things I was doing. I was just like, what's going on, right? So there was also something called the pile system, which I thought was really interesting. Actually, no, let me go back to the body double, because what was hilarious was that I guess I was like a good-looking guy. I used to body double girls. I used to try to get girls to come over
To study.
to study with me, right? And then I realized that a lot of them thought like I was trying to like use studying to hook up. But when a person's body double, they are desperate. They're like, the exam is coming up and I need somebody here to focus, right? And like almost like 90% of the times I brought somebody over to study, they would be like,
So what's
let's say like an hour in, they're like close the book and be like, oh sure. So we could take a little break or whatever, and I'd be like,
It's like you must see a genius
I really have work to do. This exam is tomorrow. I don't have time to be with you right now. Right? And I thought I keep thinking I want to make a TikTok video of that because it's something that is so niche. I don't think so many people would have experienced it and they would have known that other people would have experienced that same thing.
Right.
So now the next thing is something called the piles system, where people with ADHD often need piles of things that look like messes that they think it's organized, but it's not really organized, and other people try to. He's like, oh god. So you think it's organized, but nobody else thinks it's organized. Everybody will walk back in and be like, what is this pile of stuff you have here? And they'll be like, no. And somebody will try to clean it up. So what's happening is people try to clean it up and then you just get relevance. Because just be like, I have the pen. I put the pen under the book. I know what file. I know it's
function.
right? And and the thing is, you'd always be losing stuff in your file system. It doesn't really work. So if you think about the file system, it doesn't work. Only you think it works.
They believe it works.
And David is like, what's going on here? But yeah, so that used to happen a lot. I used to have things in all sorts of strange piles, strange configurations that never used to work, right? And the next thing was he brought up essentially like tasks at home. So a lot of times people think of it purely as like academics, but the way ADHD works is kind of like, it's not that you can't well, a lot of people just think of it as you can't focus, right? But it's more so that you focus on
a million things.
You try to focus on a lot of things. So you don't get any one thing done.
I
right?
think I might be eating. No, you described all these
Yes.
things.
So
I know that I know 100% that I have some form of dyslexia. And when it came to like reading things as a child, so let's say like we all have books to share. Like my girlfriends and I used to have books and everybody's reading and they'll pass the book to somebody else. And I would always take the longest to read the book because sometimes I start a sentence and halfway through the sentence is too long. I don't remember what happened at the beginning of the sentence. So I have to reread the sentence and then I have to reread the whole paragraph. Because I'm like, I took too long to understand what's going on here.
that's how it does it.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking that I might be a little ADHD. I know for a fact that I have some dyslexia in there. But I know that our generation.
You got tested for the stuff there?
No, I would say right after our generation, parents went crazy on assessing their kids. I think our generation and before, the parents weren't concerned about assessing because it was too expensive.
I agree.
And it's like, you must survive, you'll be fine.
It's the real pressure. It's so after the part, all right, so what I was getting to is because you can't focus on you try to focus on everything, a lot of times you can't get your chores done. So a lot of times you also procrastinate. You procrastinate a lot. So
Wait till you finish.
It's like, listen to that thing.
so
Like, oh gosh, I have all these things to do.
and it just keeps building and building. So a lot of times the person ends up with insomnia. So because they stay, because what's happened, they stay up until like midnight, 1 o'clock, and it's like, I have this thing to do. I have like 3 things to do.
And you feel guilty doing anything else because you're like, you have this thing to do and you end up doing nothing.
Yes.
Because okay, I do this other thing, I have this to do. So
Exactly.
you know what? Nothing gets done.
That is it. So well with the insomnia, right? So first thing you're thinking, you're gonna do all these things. It's like any minute now I'm gonna get off the bed, I'm gonna wash some dishes, I'm gonna do the project. And then you never do it. And then eventually it collapses around 2 o'clock. Then you wake up the next day and I still have those 10 tasks to do. And then you have the tasks of the new day. So then as days keep going by, you end up having more and more tasks. And more overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
So now because you feel overwhelmed, you're not get one of the things that they describe is that you can't relax in your free time. So now people say, hey, we have the birthday party coming up this weekend, or we're going to the go thing and thing.
No.
And you're like, I can't go. I have 100 projects to do.
Instead of doing
So
nothing.
now on Saturday, on Saturday, I miss the party to do the 100 thing. And I didn't do any of it now, right?
I guess we're all in
What I'm describing my life 13. The reason why I ask you is because my wife watches a lot of videos on like ADHD, anxiety, stuff like that. And she's been telling me,
is this change? Is this a different point?
It's you. It's you. Look, it's you.
she's been telling me for the longest while that she thinks that myself and my son have ADHD.
It is the most inherited, or the most inheritable of these psychiatric conditions.
I
I think it's like 80%.
I think so because okay, so with my mom, I think my mom has obsessive compulsive disorder, and I thought that I inherited those traits just because of how obsessed she was with putting things where they're supposed to be, and so I have a kind of okay, this thing isn't straight, I have to straighten it up, and I need to put this back where it's supposed to be. So I'm kind of neat. I don't do the pile thing all the time. It happens once in a while. Often.
I do that all the time.
All the time.
And to me,
She just
in my heart, I believe it will work. See, I put this here because I know, say, why put it away for? I know it's here.
So maybe that's why I like looking at myself.
You can get away with it.
It's like nobody is there to move my things and put them where they're not supposed to be for me to go crazy.
How dare you put it in the cupboard where it's safe? I know
Some other key things about it. And it's also, it's a superpower at times. So like, I know, day before that project due,
It could not be done.
switch go and flip. And I go and turn into
The Hulk.
the Hulk, the Flash. I go and do all kind of
Hulk up this one.
I just did my postgraduate in
6
education.
hours.
Every time you have an assignment, it is due 12 for the night. I hand up at least 8 at 11:59. Like I don't know what to do. Our 4 hours are this what I had to do. 2,000 words done.
I guess
Done.
we work well under pressure.
Yeah, boy, it's true. How do you get formed the diagnosis?
You could go to a psychologist, or you could come into, So different ways, right? So if you go to your local health center, they could write a referral to you to be seen at the psychiatric clinic, right? And then a psychiatrist could do it or a psychologist could do it.
You get it?
Yeah.
So can I come to you?
Yeah.
But for the audience,
You could do it. And then, that's easy. Or you could just go to a private psychologist or psychiatrist. But as if the freeway is a big go to your local health center, tell them, hey, having these problems concentrating, they should ask you some questions, and then they write a referral to you to get a clinic appointment, and then somebody could do something.
That's literally everything is that. Is literally like down to the staying up until 1 o'clock, and then I train for 4 o'clock. So I wake up early, because I live in south, and my training is in Mountain. So I wake up, it's not in Mountain for 5. So I wake up 4 o'clock to reach down for 5. So I done halfway tired already.
Yeah. Do you forget things a lot? Like forget things in your house, like when it's trying to leave?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, so
So when I know like it's acting up, it's hilarious. It's not hilarious at the moment. Actually, I could kind of laugh at myself in the moment, but it's be like, I would forget. I'd be running up and down the stairs. I'll reach in the car. I'd be like,
Yeah.
where the key? And then I'd run back upstairs and I'd be like, wait,
Wallet.
get. And then I'd go back in the car and be like,
Where's my wallet?
where's my wallet? And then I'd go back upstairs with the wallet. Come back and then I'll drive out and be like, where my phone,
Right.
my clothes for the gym, something would be missing, and then
This is where you talk, guys.
by the time I reach them and I don't have my belt for work and all kind of thing, I leave my shirt all my time.
Listen, half the time that I'm late for somewhere, it's because I walk back inside to get one thing, and I realize this shoe in the corner there, and I need to move the shoe from there, and I put it somewhere else. And then I'm like, oh, well, this needs to move one time as I here, and then I put that somewhere else, and then I leave, and then I come back because I forgot something else. And then I was like, oh, this here, and then I move that, and I can't leave it like this. Yeah, and it's weird.
Is your car messy?
The wife is laughing.
So Kamala knows my car is always looking crazy, right?
Mhm.
So the thing is, I have to use my car as a storage unit.
Exactly.
It's like if I just have everything in the car, then I'm not gonna forget anything.
Exactly.
So I have.
You just don't forget things.
I know, but at least if I didn't have it, yeah. So I'll be like, all right, I have a sneakers there. I have like a bag with training clothes, an extra set of training clothes, some dress shoes just in case, whatever. Yeah. Because
Save you less worry.
but if someone
I have things.
and then if somebody comes in, they'll be like, it's a pipe. You know, it's a pipe system. It's gonna.
So since you have realized that it's adult ADHD that you're dealing with, what are some helpful strategies that you can employ?
So honestly, the most effective thing is medication. That is the most effective thing, right? Unfortunately, right? The most effective thing, and I don't like the statistics, but anyway, medication is the most effective thing. That you can get consulted for free, right? Methylphenidate, right? And as a stimulant that helps people with ADHD focus on things, right? And it's immediate. You go into like a regular mode. Yeah. So what happened? So very quickly, you're able. So one of the things that happens is you feel a cloud. There's a cloud that happens with ADHD when you feel like you have 100 things to do.
Yeah.
You start forgetting things, and you just feel like there's a lot of things to be done, and you just feel this kind of pressure.
Right.
So now, what my experience of the medication has been, the cloud ceases, everything becomes clear, and you're like, oh no, there are 4 things. I have 4 things to do today.
Yeah.
I have 4 things to do, and I'm going to do those 4 things now. And now I have free time. I can relax, and then I can go to sleep. And after you've been able to clear out a few of the things on your list, you get some sleep. You feel a lot better emotionally, because it really is draining emotionally. Because you feel, so all the times people feel like a failure, they feel just disorganized, they feel like they're letting people down, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody who's organized. See, that person will be pointing out the fact that they're doing all these things wrong. And then you're like, I'm really trying to do all these things, but it is not working. And so a lot of times they can't understand that, and you're like, am I really retarded? or is it that, what's going on here?
So this makes a lot of sense today because, my mom, as I said, I believe she had obsessive compulsive disorder. But now that I think about it, she may have also been on an ADHD, but what she did, I guess, was a self-diagnostic and then tried to define coping mechanisms and what my mom did, she would make lists. If you go to my childhood home, you would see pieces of paper everywhere, just in little strategically placed spots with a bunch of chores on it. And you would see lines through them, not all, but the majority of things up would have lines on them. And as a child, I would go, like, my mom used to be overwhelmed all the time. She'd be cursing and I have all this to do, and you're stressing me out, and only doing more crazy things. And I would try to go to the list and try to take things off the list to help her. And then she'd go crazy because she'd be, I have my way and I want to get things done. And I have the order in which I want to do it. And who is you to come and do a ticket? And I thought I was helping. But now it makes so much more sense that was her way of dealing with all these overwhelming things going on and her pressure to not get everything done. So she'll write it down on a list and try to tick it off one by one, but she'll never complete the list. And that pressure would make her angry and lash out at people, even if they try to help, because then there's this way that it's supposed to be done.
Okay, so here's the thing. So that I'm surprised it's really good that you're able to figure that out, because a lot of people with ADHD can become very cranky, and it's confusing in that. So like, someone with ADHD has to put in a lot of effort to get to their productive zone. So say you have a project due, you might know that it takes you really like 4 hours of setting everything up, right, for you to get productive. You're like, okay, I need to put the computer here, I need to go get a cup of coffee, I need to have all these files here and books here, I need all this here, and it take a while to get into that zone, right?
Yep.
And then somebody might come and be like, hey, we could go do this thing that'll take 10 minutes. And in their brain, it's only taking 10 minutes to do.
But you could get
But
there.
that is going to, no, just that if you leave, your whole setup is ruined.
And
4
more hours.
It's going to take you 4 hours to get back into the zone of the thing, right?
This is why I can't finish the internet. We cannot.
If you had formal training, that'd be.
I'm
I'm joking.
Every artist goes through it, but it's like, it takes, so I'm trying to finish this painting, right? Let's say I have 2 hours between my last class and when I have to go to work or whatever the case is. That 2 hours is not, I can see that's not enough time. I'm not even going to try to attempt to start working on that painting, because by the time I set up the painting, I wash my brushes and I'm setting music and the lighting and I open it door and I feed my cats and I sit up. The 2 hours done. The 2 hours, and so even if the 2 hours ain't passed yet, I get in 20 minutes of painting that, and I know from the beginning that that's not going to be enough, so I'm just not
Not gonna do it.
Last release. So people with ADHD are really good at focusing on things they want to focus on. So if you're a martial artist, if there's a sport you like to play, a video game, whatever, you can sit down and focus on that thing. So that's where a lot of parents get confused, because they're like, my child can have ADHD because they just sit down and do this thing for 6 hours. How come they can't focus on it?
But it's whatever holds their attention long time. Because they enjoy it, they want to do it.
They can end up being an ultra high performer in a specific field that they are interested in. So now I was able to live my life up until like early adulthood. I realized if I just did the things I wanted to do and didn't do the things I don't want to do, I could just be real good. So now that could work through teenage years. It could work to like early 25. But then at around 25, you start end up having publications. Yeah, so they have things that you have to do, and you're like, this is taking up so much time and emotional energy that is end up contributed to what could be a collapse.
A question I wanted to ask, right? Because I have a student who I tutor that has ADHD. And he's not taking his medicine. He doesn't focus at all. But he would say, "You're coming back, sir. They're going to take my medicine. You're going to take it, come back."
Yeah.
And his focus is clear, right? My favorite thing is that we become reliant on the medicine. So there's have times when the medicine isn't available and you just can't do the work at all.
So good. All right, so good point. So you asked me what things work. So medication is first-line treatment, stimulant like methylphenidate or Concerta, right, which is available for free. You just need to have a prescription before you diagnose. Things that could also been shown to work like on a smaller scale would be high-dose omega-3s. So like if you get 3,000 milligrams, it definitely helps. If you're also taking Concerta, like it makes it even better. But by itself, you can get some benefit from that. There are like focusing and meditation exercises you can do that could be like a little thing, right? But so like one of the focusing exercises I have like some of the athletes do would be building up the time that you could focus on an item without breaking concentration. So like looking at the cup and stealing without looking away, without thinking about something else for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, and then build to 2 minutes, and then doing exercises like that before you engage in the thing you don't want to do. So before you have to study or do work. So maybe that's something you could do with them. Like it's just a quick exercise that kind of gets the muscle flexive. It warms them up to be like, okay, my brain is going to have to focus on this thing for an extended period of time. Those work. So now, outside of that, a lot of times people who have ADHD undiagnosed end up abusing substances. Not for the typical. Not for the typical reason not for the typical reasons that like just to have fun. A lot of times they're chasing focus, concentration, and trying to escape that overwhelming sensation of not getting all that stuff done. So then they end up from the simplest things, they end up smoking 10 to 15 cigarettes a day. They end up drinking 10 Coca-Colas a day. Or they end up drinking 10 cups of coffee a day. They end up smoking marijuana. They end up using other drugs. And they're really just trying to focus, you know. Yeah. They're just trying to get through the day and be like,
I do 100% admit that my marijuana consumption has a lot to do with slowing down my thoughts and helping me to focus.
And for me, it was Coca-Cola and Lucozade. So like, I need to do this. I need to go and drink a Lucozade first.
Yeah, they self-medicate. So what's also interesting is I think kids who do that high sugar thing, as they have ADHD, it helps them focus. Versus a kid who has a regular child, when they drink the Coke, they just go wild.
So for me, I've noticed that when I consume caffeine, I bounce off the walls with hyperactivity. So as a child, I noticed that. So I was always sensitive to Coca-Cola, coffee, those kinds of things. I try to stay away from caffeine.
You drinking coffee as a child?
Well, you know, a little chiller, a little this, a little, you know, I noticed that caffeinated beverages.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was so, even a Red Bull or whatever, I'm so sensitive to caffeine that it sends my energy through the roof that I realized that this is not for me. And then I felt like I was overthinking because I have all these things going on in my brain. So it led me, well, yes, to yoga, but also the marijuana consumption, because I felt like when I smoke, that those thoughts slow down a little bit and I could process things a little bit easier. I could think things through without feeling the pressure of everything at the same time. Yeah. And I think that's what attracted me to it in the first place. The first time I smoked, I was just like, oh, I feel so calm. All the thoughts have just been silenced.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm going to do this forever.
Right. So
I understand the dependency. Yeah.
So now that brings me back to your question, which is, well, you're worried that people get dependent. So this is something I have to try to explain to all the parents, all the patients. It's kind of like you have been suffering with something your whole life. Now it's built up to a point that you end up in the hospital. Mm-hmm. A doctor's here and then we figure out what's the thing that's good, right? And then we offer you something that can help you cope with it, right? So
You might get
no,
addicted to
so,
feeling
no,
like
you don't get. It's
of
not that.
not
Not
having
that.
to
No.
know.
Also, it's like you're not dependent on medication. It's just that if you take this medication,
You might-
the symptoms are removed. If you don't have this medication, yeah, you're gonna go back. You're just going back to how it was.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess people were just hoping that they'll take some medication and never have to take it again.
A lot of people think that that's what drugs are. A lot of people have the misconception that if you take something and the symptoms ease up, you don't need to take the thing. That's it. It's a cure-all, and well, I feel better, so I don't have to take the thing anymore. A lot of people have that issue, and I don't know what it stems from. You know, I don't know if it's a primitive mindset or if it's just a faulty mindset that you take this treatment and it's supposed to cure it forever.
I think there's also suspicion. There's around big pharma and thinking they have.
I mean, they have
Thinking they have like a.
Thinking it's
All
a
the
cure,
time.
but it's really treatment,
Mhm.
not a cure.
There are very few. Well, no, actually, I lied. There are lots of cures, but there are also now treatments that we found that are
Right.
helpful. And it's like, what if we didn't have the treatment? Then you'd just be suffering without this thing you could be taking. Thank God there is this thing.
As they bring a big pharma, do you think that they create treatments on purpose instead of cures because it has more money?
I'd imagine. So I imagine it would tend towards that because it would be just more profitable. But I don't have any evidence of it. It would just make sense. Like if you're at any boardroom and your job is to get as much profit for this company,
That's possible.
You get
No, not just
make the cure.
yeah.
So I'm the CEO. You make the cure and you make the treatment. I'd be like,
It's not even just the
yeah, I that. Yeah, I figure that.
The accountant want to know what we invest in it.
Yeah.
That will have the highest return.
Oh.
That's what's happening. The accountant wants to know, are we going to spend on this? That is going to make people better and then they're not going to get sick at all and all the problems done. Or are we going to invest in this? Where we kind of treat the symptoms or we help them feel a little better, but they won't
For a little while.
get rid of the problem
And
so
then
that
they
we
come
can keep having our relevance in this particular circumstance. So I think a lot of the time when we think that a decision was simple or it's straightforward, it's been meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting and arguments back and forth about who is gonna benefit the most out of this particular decision, and then the decision is made. And some people are not happy at the end of the decision, and some people are. You know, I think that's what the thing is with Big Pharma. It's who's bidding the most and where we can make the most money. Because at the end of the day, it's a business, as with most things. And business is business. They don't really care about these feelings getting into you know.
Corpus Christi has counselors.
Yeah. Most schools, I think all schools have a counselor. Yeah.
And they're supposed to have a fair counseling thing set up, right?
Yeah.
Those counselors will do good work. We could tell because there's a huge difference in admissions of kids during the summertime versus when they're in school. Yeah, because a lot of times the counselor is actually who's pick up something's wrong,
Right.
and send them into the emergency room.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when they go, parents is like, nah man, that's child good. That's child good.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, the parents are also not home.
Yeah.
And I think not to discredit parents, but in my opinion, teachers tend to pay a little more attention. Because you have to interact with them a bit more than the parents throughout the day.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I guess you're teaching them something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's true. And I mean, they have a vested interest in the development and progress of this child. Not to say that the parent doesn't, it's just that a parent, while the child is going to school, just wants to make sure the child has everything they need.
Yeah.
And that they are safe. Because they have other things going on with them, you know, they have to make the money, they have to, you know, pay the bills, they have to do all these other things. So the child comes home from school and is like, okay, you ate what you learned today, all right, cool. Well, you need to do this before you go to bed, and there's a routine and there's a structure for the thing to make sense.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get to school, the child is being met where they are,
Yeah.
and the teacher has an agenda to get you to a particular place.
Exactly.
So they're more invested in where you are
And-
to get you to that place.
And it's literally our job to teach it. So when we realize something is blocking that from happening,
You gotta find out what.
yeah, we investigate and we realize there a problem, go on to the counselor.
Right.
So I think you teach mostly business subjects, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, has the landscape finally changed? From like when I was in high school, Jesus. I was in high school in 1998 to 2005.
2005?
Yeah, so in Hillview, back then there was like a hierarchy of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
If you were like real smart, you went to the science classes with Spanish. If you was kinda smart, you do the science classes with like geography or literature or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, if you did GT, we go on to business.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I know you. I think you do mostly business subjects. Has that changed at all?
I would say yes. I think most people now are aspiring to be business owners. To realize that those same scientists and stuff like that are now coming to work for the business.
Yeah. I felt that I only felt the big difference when I went to Howard, and I saw how prestigious the business school was at Howard, and how proud everybody was to be in the business school, and everybody was wearing suits, and people was going to Goldman Sachs and going to Wall Street, whatever, and that was the first institution I went to where I felt like the business school felt more prestigious than the schools of arts and science and stuff like that. And it's really wild to me. I'm glad to hear what you just said, but it has been wild to me that I felt like it was still propagating that Trinidad still had these traditional views on education and professional on what job is a good job, but if you say that people now feel more comfortable, I feel like I'm real happy for that because it's super important.
I feel like we are slow moving sometimes because we receive a lot of things last.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like simultaneously we receive a lot of things at the same time as the rest of the world. So there is opportunity to grow past the traditional, misconceptions of how things should be going, while still maintain those traditional ways of it. However, I wanted to ask you, so I see that you do an entrepreneurship competition.
Yeah.
What has that been like for this generation of kids? Like, what types of businesses attract them the most? What have they been doing? What would win the competition?
It has been amazing. So this competition, what it does, it gives students the opportunity to operate a huge national company without actually spending any money, right? So they enter a simulation with, let's say, 7 other schools, and they create a company from ground up, and it's very detailed. So they have to hire staff, they have to organize their compensation, they have to create ads, they have to design the products, they have to decide where they're going to sell the products. It's extremely detailed, and they compete with these other students, the other schools, to see who can do the best.
Okay.
And it's normally like 128 teams in total.
Wow. So they're presenting a business model.
So it's not presenting, they operate in a business, but it's a simulation, so it's like a game.
Okay.
So they make decisions for a week, and that after that week, 3 months will pass in the simulation, and you'll see what results came from the decisions they made. And then they'll make decisions again for next week, for 6 weeks.
And so the simulation, what I want to say genre, what type of business? It could be any type of business.
So it could be, but normally they use computers or bicycles. So they are world where computers don't exist, and they're now creating computers for the first time. So you have to decide which market you want to look for. If you're trying to do like regular computers for like offices and stuff like that, laptops for the traveling professional, or if you want high-tech computers for like scientists and stuff like that. So you decide which market you want to attend to, you design the product, Based on that market, you design your ads based on that market. You place the ads in places where it would attract that market. It's very, very detailed. They normally do it for PhD and stuff like that. So they actually brought it to the secondary school level.
Interesting.
It's really, really good. And most of the students who do the program, they get inspired to go there and go next after.
Obviously, because I thought they found it good.
Yeah.
I remember when I was doing IT for CXC, it was an all-girls school I went to Bishop, so they made us plan this wedding, right? And in the planning of the wedding, of course, you have to create your own program, you have your database of all the invited guests, whether to fish or this or that, and you have to like create this database, you have to pull the queries and you have to do your seating and your design, where you're getting your tablecloths, your pricing for your catering, and all that. So it was very detailed, but this was just the IT exam. To see how well you navigate Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, etc. So now it's interesting to see that the entrepreneurship competition is employing all those angles of a business at CX level.
It's Form 4 to Upper 6 to take part.
Okay.
We normally use Form 4s because our Form 5 is focusing on 6. Yeah.
So the schools apply? How do they apply to?
So the company that has this is a company called Treestone. They actually own Movino. Right. Yeah, they own a company. Right. So they partnered with the ministry and they got a few sponsors like Guardian and Shell, Massey, FCB, PwC, Signizor, and Digicel. And they will invite schools. So schools in Trinidad to be with PRC, obviously Corpus, convents, schools in Scarborough, stuff like that. They can send up to 3 teams. Once you get 128 teams, they lock off. And then they normally hosted in October.
And each team has been consistently like a hyper model.
I mean, we've been in the top 5 since conception. So it started in 2017. We placed second overall. We placed second. 2018 we came second. 2019 we came fourth. 2020 we came first. 2021 we came fifth. 2022 we came first and second. So we had 2 teams out of the 128. 1 team came first, 1 team came second. And last.
Well, at all, you said that. Take it out.
Again. And 2023 we came second.
Thanks. Okay, it's good to see that the other schools are really being inspired to do better. Yeah. So that year when you came to this, like, wait, now they're really coming on hard.
Yeah, but that year we had Form 3s that took part.
And that made competition step up.
Yeah, but they still did good for Form 3s. 5th is really good in my humble opinion, what they're going against. But like when I went to the opening ceremony, I see students driving and saying, there and upper 6. So the girls get intimidated, but they always perform well.
That's a really good initiative. I'm really glad that the landscape might be changing towards people want to open their own businesses and understanding that is not something that's like academically less. I mean, if I think back to the people who were in class, I remember there was a just general feeling that if you're in the business class, somehow you end up in the business class. You didn't like there was no prestige there. Yeah. And then when I think about people who were in that business class now, all of them are very successful people, right? And
I don't know, at Bishop Anstey High School, the hierarchy wasn't so. There was no real hierarchy, right? Everybody was respected for their choice. We had the business class, the modern class, modern studies class, and the sciences. And it's not to say anyone was better than the other. We were looking for the highest achievers in each.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you would be awarded on your highest achievements within the category. So, like the business classes, yes, they're doing econ, accounts, POB and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the modern studies, they're doing languages, the literature, the history, the geography.
The art and stuff.
Yeah, and the art and these things. And we are looking forward to see who are the highest achievers in these particular. When the art show, when the Bishop's art show coming around, It's people from all over the country coming to see the Bishop Anstey Form 5 and Form 6 art exhibition.
Yeah.
It was held in high esteem, you know what I mean? So
Wasn't so.
I don't
Wasn't so
know,
much.
but I would say that we breed very all-rounded, well-rounded young women. So I had one classmate who was in the sciences class. I think she was doing biochem and art math for Form 6. And she was constantly in my literature class. She would read all the books and answer questions.
Her parents forced her to do subject.
No, she loved sciences. I would not lie. She's a biochem lecturer now. But she was always in my literature class and she would read the books and answer questions and there was a mutual respect. We loved having her in the class. There was no, this is not for you, or, you know what I mean? It was nice.
So, I mean, it wasn't like, this is not for you. It was just like it was like an unspoken, like, I feel like, yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was.
I did not experience
Hillview was a science, Hillview was a science school.
Right.
So, like, I knew I wanted to go Hillview when I heard that they did biochem phys from Form 1.
Right.
And you were protected if you were good at the sciences, if you were good at math. People, like, the nerdiest person was like, nah, you're not doing that to this boy. We don't care about how he look or how nerdy he is. He gonna win something. He gonna win something.
He's gonna be somebody.
Yeah. He's gonna be someone, yeah.
So, for instance, I did biochem physics at CXC level, and I was in the modern studies class at Form 6, and honestly, there was no big deal. I just think from
Yeah. No, that's great.
With the differences.
I always got a more artsy vibe from Bishops. Yes. But when there was like a thing at Hillview, I felt like the students hated it. They didn't want to be there. They're like, why are we here? Why is there this show? Why is there this pageant? Why is there this thing?
Do you think it's the culture that was...
It's the culture of the school. It's just culture of the school.
Because in Corpus, it's not like that. So in Corpus, we always have the business department is always the largest department when it comes to the students wanting to do PUV. You have to create 3 or 4 classes just for PUV, and then the science might have 15 students, 10 students.
Are there universities you try to like set?
Yes. So we actually through the same competition, we aligned with Art Electra, because the very first year, the prize for coming first, second, and third were scholarships to Art Electra. So they did bachelor's in sustainable business.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually a degree you can do right after CXC. So once you have 5 classes, inclusive of maths and English, you could go to Art Electra and do their bachelor's. Yeah.
So, what are there any schools abroad that if kids are interested in doing business in the US or UK or anything like that, is there any schools that you're like, yeah, they should try to go to the school?
Well, actually, with aligned with Art Electra, part of the degree is that you have the option to go abroad. Can't remember the name of the university, but yeah, that they partner with, but you have the option after 1 year to go abroad and finish the degree there. So it's mostly with Art Electra, because
you also was like a Howard University school.
Howard?
No, like for real, but that school was like,
it was really, really good.
Yeah, that one of my regrets is that I didn't go into the school of business.
Seriously?
Like, imagine going to university and seeing a school and being like, I shouldn't
take it.
Yeah, because they were always like big banks, big firms coming to the university to have like seminars that recruits. Like, I felt like almost every other week there was a seminar from Wachovia or Goldman Sachs or some big company like, hey, telling them about the business, trying to get people to come for some like internships and that sort of thing. I'm like, it was really well organized. People, I think they really got good exposure to huge opportunities and huge companies. I'd strongly recommend any person who do in Trinidad, who's not sure what they're going to do after CXC. If you're not sure, no, well, first thing, do your SATs.
True.
If you're not sure of what you're going to do and you work, especially about finances, I think the average, some of my colleagues disagree, but I feel like the average Trinidadian student after CXC, if they do SATs, could get a full or almost full scholarship to a foreign university and especially Howard, and be able to get the education paid for if that's something that they're worried about. So I really recommend it right after CXC when you're primed to go.
Okay. Now you have me wanting to check out Howard.
You should. I've had dreams. I've actually had dreams. Me and my friend Leanne Nickham. We spoke about it. I've literally had dreams of going back to do Ovan undergrad. It was so fun. It was so fun. So you went to UE right now?
Yeah.
The new main campus?
Yeah, new campus.
Yeah. So I went to Howard first, and then I came and did my medical degree at Mount Clare, and there was such a stark difference in energy and the culture, the pride. The main thing is the difference in pride of going to the school, right? So like I felt like at Howard, people were really proud to be there, right? So they were always people, even though they had like issues, people were like really going to lots of events, doing lots of events, trying to like really become integrated into the system. I feel like at UE, a lot of times people, one from the time it go, very rare. I've never in my life heard somebody go to UE and be like, boy, I really love UE. It was real good.
True.
I had a good time. It's a great
but
I feel like
lectures.
I feel like you just get that like years after the person leave UE.
I have
It's
never.
like,
you ever hear somebody say that?
But
But I noticed in year one, all the UE students working with the ID outside. So they want people to
So-
with the ID outside because I don't UE.
This is what I think one of the biggest differences, as you mentioned, the ID. See, Brandon,
Yeah.
I think Brandon is a big deal because from the time you enter a foreign prestigious university, you're gonna get a hoodie or a cap.
True.
Or what you have insignia. You have
True.
things that say. So when you go to a convenience store, you go anywhere else, you can rock your hoodie and be,
True.
proud of the fact that you
We
go to
never
this
get. We
university.
never get any of that stuff.
We don't
never,
get that
So
stuff.
we didn't get it for free. You had a
Yeah,
bookstore.
Yeah, and you have to spend
So,
real
yeah.
money.
So no, at Howard there was a bookstore that sold all this stuff, and you could have gotten it there. You could also buy it online, but it's not like you're getting it for free. I agree with you. I feel like Brandon has a huge part of it, and there was somebody who like 4 years ago had started doing some sort of rebranding stuff. But I don't know if it still exists because I thought that was a key thing for people. Like,
Have you
It is.
Polo from economics
I have a
for like
uni
10 years ago?
African society hoodie,
I imagine so.
right? Because I was part of African society, and African society did shows and they did little events, so they had their promo team that made the hoodies and stuff. But that's not the whole of UE, and I feel like we needed to make a bigger effort to brand the university, especially for foreign exchange students. Like, give them it for free, give them a t-shirt. Like,
Just have it
sell the
available.
hoodies, but
Have it available.
Party registration
easy
package.
to get. I think at least one t-shirt should have been a part of your package.
Yeah.
So when we have any kind of sporting events or any kind of event on campus, people could come out in there.
You be okay listening.
But I feel like they don't care enough about that part of the experience.
And what's the next thing big universities do? They would say, well, come to Howard, for example. So and so, who's this big successful person went to Howard? So who's this big successful
Exactly.
person
This is
went to
how Howard graduates.
Exactly.
Coming back to talk to us about this thing. So everybody come out in their Howard t-shirts and they actually
Like,
feel
wow, I want to
proud
be like
to
that
be part
person.
of this. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but we don't do that yet. But in Trinidad, don't have a groupie culture where we don't idolize people. And, you could be standing next to the biggest celebrity and be like, hey, look nice, so. But outside, they'd be like, I'm going to get a picture, autograph.
Yeah.
Not Trinidad yet. So I feel like we don't do that with our own selves. We're like, this person is a UE graduate, and we're just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Very true.
So I think the mentality behind it has to change, and it starts with simple things like making, paraphernalia available for cheap or for free. so people could rock this stuff and be like, yeah, busting this.
It didn't matter be for free. They could be smart. So they could add $50 to the registration package and
And
say,
include it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like you should have cheap ones, medium ones, and expensive ones.
So what I'm saying, you can get a t-shirt, which is cheap, and a hoodie, which is a little more expensive. You can get a cap, which is cheap. Or even like a bandana or a flag to wave, which might be cheap. And then you might have a full kit that would be a whole jogger suit and that would be a little bit more expensive.
And if you raise the prestige of the school, people would want to buy it.
Exactly, they would want to come out and live also.
Yeah.
So, question: do you feel like you know a lot of people said they enjoyed?
I would say my year group, and the year group.
Not if they,
Yeah,
not if
before-
they enjoyed it, enough. But what
They
if
said that they
they enjoyed it?
But honestly, it's not something that you hear often.
It isn't. You more hear complaints. You haven't got my results yet. No,
Yeah.
this is the.
So a lot of the complaints that I heard in Malto, I heard that those issues existed while I was in Howard, but people either didn't really make a big issue out of them, or they did something about it.
Oh.
Like there'd be some kind of protest or something. They always had some kind of protest and they're shutting down the buildings or whatever. Really? About you things or like outside meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Really? That's good. I didn't know that because I was found that it was we don't have a good. I feel like we don't have a strong enough protest culture right now.
No, so again, I can't speak for the other year groups, but for my year group, while I was there, the girls tried to meet with different faculties, meet with people, and try to figure out what their biggest concerns were and try to address them. And there were rallies. They called people together to say, no, we need to change this. Especially with security on campus, because we felt like security guards were just like sleeping.
I remember that.
And not doing anything that people get in.
Because somebody gets attacked. Yeah. Those on social media and stuff.
You can remember who's good because
I was going to answer that. So this guy who's
Program.
Pilgrim. The guy who was president, I can't remember his name, and he's a minister right now.
America Senator.
After
I like him so much. Such an interesting guy.
I think
I know what love time about
You shouldn't answer.
I think he's in China, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like I see it.
I actually met America long before you. I met America in a spoken word competition.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where I met a lot of like people from Freetown and stuff like that, like Mohammed and these guys, they would always meet in intellectual spaces and talk about what's going on here in this space and what we as young people can do to make it better. So I wasn't surprised when I got to uni and these are the people that formed the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They wanted to make a difference.
I know we're talking about formal education and stuff before. Do you all, well, before the podcast started, do you all think 2024 people should go to university?
According to what they want to do.
What would make them, what do you think as a teacher, you're like, you should go to university for this?
So in
medical, I should.
So if I want to go into the medical field, definitely you have to go to university.
Engineering.
So professional.
Engineering.
Yeah.
So my son wants to do video game creation. He should definitely go to university for that. But it should definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to do animation, anything technical, it should definitely go to university. Now for business, it helps. It definitely helps, but I wouldn't say it's entirely necessary. Right? There's a lot of successful businessmen and women who did not do any schooling after secondary school. Right? Some of the most successful, look at Kaisenat. One of the most successful business person, I can think of the top of my head, is 21. Hasn't done any university. And he's making more money than everybody here.
A business person.
Definitely. Streaming is a business, and he has a lot of deals and stuff like that. It's definitely a business.
I guess I would consider him the talent. He's the talent, and then they are business people behind it. Like I feel like he's an actor.
He owns all his rights, so he is the business as well. So like, let's say he's streaming on a particular page, right? Let's look at let's call a random page, Discord, for example, right? We would normally sign up for Discord.
Yeah.
They would pay him, and he would create a deal where the profits, overall profits, is a 50-50 split or 60-40 split. We can't do that because we do have the platform that he's created. And so I would definitely consider him an entrepreneur.
I think he's an entrepreneur. I guess I would feel like he probably has a manager. I feel like he's a talent who have a manager. I could be wrong, guys, right? And then they have a person who's like a hard baller, who's setting up all the deals and contract.
Well, who hired him? Nakai? So he's his employee. So Kai is still the business. He manages.
Is Michael Jackson a businessman?
Yeah, definitely.
Or is he the Jay-Z that had, so Jay-Z had the front kettle of
Jay-Z say, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business.
Yeah, so Jay-Z's a difference.
Honestly, isn't that different when you really think about the way that technology has given young people opportunities to create business, especially online, that their talent and the effort that they put in initially is what the businesses run on, and they become the business.
Exactly.
So what I wanted to ask you is, with the technology, those same technological advancements, especially the online platform that has made it easier for young people to make money online, how has the education system accommodated for that type of business?
So, when I was doing my diploma, my postgraduate diploma in education, a huge focus was implementing technology into the classroom because we realized technology is now a major part of everyday life. So we help them we create strategies for learning using various technological platforms. So the children will start to get accustomed using these technological platforms. So when they come out to the school system now, they already be familiar with it because we realize it's the future. This year, sorry to say, for SBAs, we got at least 8 to 10 SBAs that were at least 60% AI generated.
Wow. That's kind of where I was headed. Because it's as I say, it's the technological advancement has made it so much easier for young people to generate a business and income online that they might forego the entire education process. Right? Because it's so easy now to create this algorithm, create this, and then they have a business that's running and making them passive income.
But they still need to understand how to use the software in the first place.
Right. But so let's say that's the hardest part, learning the software. And a lot of these kids, this generation of kids, they are born and they get pushed with a tablet in front of them. So they know like by the time they're 2, before they can even speak properly, they know how to operate this device. So moving forward, 10 years from now, when they're just entering secondary school, how do you see the education process, especially with business, tackling those millennials? What do we call them, Gen who?
It'll be Gen Z, it'll be
Gen something else. What to call them?
I don't even know where we'll come after
that. Yes, technology is becoming a huge part of education, but you still need certain skills. So even though we will incorporate it into the classroom, it was like, for example, right? If I want to run a business and I set up AI and all these different things, I still need to understand what a profit is. I still need to understand how to calculate all my costs. How I'm supposed to allocate my costs when I'm doing my income statements and stuff like that, when I'm tracking my money. I need to understand how to present my ads, even though I have AI creating it. I have to choose the platform to post it up and stuff like that. I have to look at my target audience, all those different things. There are AI that make some of those things easy, but you still need human aspect. We're not there yet. Well,
to negate the human aspect.
Yeah, in some instances we are, but not full. You still need to interact with people at some point in time.
I see it becoming a more and more competitive now.
It is.
What would be competitive mean?
Virtual or online businesses amongst young people. I see it becoming more and more of a lab and kind of experience. So I just, well, from where I stand, but I'm not sure
No,
based on what is being put in place.
It is because one of the students I tutor again, she told me straight out when she finishes CXC, she wants to do drop shipping, she wants to do affiliate marketing, she wants to open a YouTube page. But that's what these youths are seeing now. They're seeing these online personalities.
Be an influencer.
Yes, and it has money in it. Yep. It has a lot of money in it. So I wouldn't fight it. I would push it.
So how do you feel that you have, how many kids? You have one?
Two. So I have a son and a daughter, well, stepdaughter.
How old are they?
9 and 10.
How do you feel about their tab time, computer time?
I have no issue with it too much. So they play games and have fun and stuff like that. But my son, for example, he would listen to a whole 2-hour video on World War I. And come and say, Daddy, you know, they tried to message Mexico and they intercept the message and yeah. So he learns a lot from
Yeah, I
the
know
time.
the 6-year-old who's like, I'm going to learn Portuguese.
You see?
And he's there every day with his little Portuguese lessons. Nobody has to tell him or guide him. He's
Exactly.
willingly learning Portuguese.
Exactly. Yes.
That's such a important thing. I think that's the right way to think about it. I know a lot of parents are worried about excessive tablet time. So there is information about like tablet time or screen time affecting eyesight for sure, right? But there are lots of parents who think that if they limit the tablet time, then the person will become more educated, like they should read books or go and study or whatever, right? I feel like it's important to understand that you have to predict the future that we are going to be in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I'm not sure you'll follow Gary Vee. Who's Gary Vee, man? He's this entrepreneur, public speaker kind of guy. He does a lot of business stuff. And he's saying that essentially he's let his kids use technology as much as possible because that is what they're going to be doing in 10, 15, 20 years. The whole world will be like that. There might be by the time they're in high school or university, you might be using paper textbooks at all anymore. Everything will be like that. And you would have trained your child on an old system that's not really applicable anymore.
That's the main reason why I asked also about how the education system is accommodating for this type of advance. Because I feel like a lot of the time, when I look back at what I was taught at school, a lot of it isn't applicable anymore because of the way we are changed. So the same is going to happen to these kids, especially because things are changing so much more quickly than back then. You know what I mean? So is it that what we are trying to instill in these kids is going to be useful to them 10 years from now?
Yeah, we really have to try to predict it. Because when I was a child, you were told you have to go outside and play football. Go and play football, go outside. And you have to go on. This is how you'll be more successful if you go outside and do some kind of other kind of active sport. But no, so that would have been like pre-1998. That would be like 1998 to 2005, 1995 to 2005, right?
Right, that's it.
Area. And then, now, people who played video games, you have a higher chance of being a successfully paid video game player now than you have of ever being a successfully paid track and field athlete or footballer or volleyball player. You'd much faster be paid going to some Mario Kart competition or something and competing there than playing traditional sports.
Facts. I kick myself every time when I put down the control and start playing Street Fighter. Well, now I could be a professional Street Fighter player.
Getting paid. Even if there's just there would be a higher chance of you winning.
And I guess to the traditional jobs. So a lot of people are stuck in this mindset, lawyer, doctor, but with the technological advancements, there are functions that we can't even think about that are necessary in every business that is trying to move forward.
And a lot of the traditional jobs are going to get taken away.
Yeah.
AI is going to take away a lot.
For sure.
My cousin is working on an AI program right now that I don't want to give too much details because it's going to take a lot of jobs from accountants. If he's able to complete it, it's going to take a lot of jobs.
I'm not surprised that they didn't do that sooner.
Like, what are you talking about?
I would go into detail.
Listen, I'm honestly, what concerns me the most is the order in which they're doing the AI drops. So, for instance, okay, let's skip ahead to like robotics, right? Like doing these robots and Abu Dhabi and these Arab Emirates countries, right?
Yeah.
And they are hoping to have robots replace nurses in senior homes, right? So they want robots to take care of old people, basically, right? That's what. So my thing is, why is that one of the first things? The order in which that they're releasing the AI thing. So as to me, I feel like there was this meme about people saying, I would like the AI to do my daily chores for me so that I could spend more time on art and creativity. I don't want the AI to do the art and creativity, taking me more time to do chores.
Yeah.
Right, so to me, it's what exactly is the AI being used for, and who chooses what its focus is? You know what I mean? What the primary focus is. I feel like it's not being engineered to help people in their day-to-day.
Remember, it's a business as well, huh?
Yeah.
They want to make money.
And they just have all these competent people, and whoever project finish first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically.
But why they can't make my life easier in the process?
Are you using any AI tools right now? Because ChatGPT does real make my life easier.
Yeah, it does. It does. ChatGPT.
And as we said in the real message, from ChatGPT. Send them this. Send them this message.
Right. My life is not hard, so there are not many things that I want to make easier. But the things that I want to make easier are things that are physically existing, and I think that are really cheap. So I feel like if you want to roll out something, give me a robot that
How much do you pay for a robot? You understand, right? So they are going to cater for those who could afford to pay for the robots. And that's what the business is. So, okay, what can I sell to a business that will make the business life easy that they'll pay for? Because even though the robots will be expensive, it may be a one-time payment. So the robots can replace employees where they have to pay monthly.
Now, I doubt you saying a one-time thing. You know how they doesn't make
But they have to pay for maintenance.
Malfunction after 3 months. Say,
Just power it down. Just power it down.
People like, okay, this battery needs to change. So it is this, that, it needs to change that, like a car.
So they have to pay for maintenance and stuff like that, right? But overall, it will be less expensive. They don't have to worry about sick days. They don't have to worry about low performance because the machine is going to be performing a certain way all the time. It will save them money in the long run. They could have robots working without break.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah, I mean, I think with robots, all businesses could be 24/7. What is the point of going to find a turn?
Right.
They have no turn in a robot.
Right, and then the home is a 24/7 job. So instead of having people coming and working on shift, they have the robots that are 24/7. It's a pretty smart place to start.
I've seen this recent project about certain buildings that the AI operated, AI incorporated, that the AI has learned how to deceive the human players of the games in order to get what it wants, what serves its purpose. The AI has learned to lie and deceive humans in a game. Right? It's just a game. Right?
Outside of you too.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They were talking about just a game, and I don't know why more people are not concerned about it.
I'm very concerned.
I am very concerned.
I am very
But they're not talking about this on the news right now.
Oh no, they are. Well, I've seen articles about, because outside of video game play, they have been they shown where AI has tricked people to do certain things. Yeah.
So again, I think that has a big part to play in the future of content creation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the young people are going to be dependent on artificial intelligence to do that for them. Because they are looking at the least labor intensive work that they can do. Right? So they're very, very gravitated towards the AI realm of things. But you don't trust it, it's learning from humans, and you don't trust human beings. So how you can trust the AI?
I'm so afraid of AI. When I use ChatGPT, I say please and thank you.
Oh,
Because I don't. Next thing, yeah, shut down this other thing over. They say, nah, he was like,
We saw I never scan a fingerprint, so you have my facial recognition on that.
I know it's there. It's on something.
Yeah, but I've never done the fingerprint scan on my phone. And the same.
They have it. Once you looked at your camera,
They have it. Right? But I've never done the phone that unlocked by my face. So I've never done. I don't speak to Siri, Google. Nobody don't know me. Alexa, them don't know me. I don't talk to them, and them don't talk to me. I'm not on this, but that's just me, right?
They already have.
I know they already have information on me, but they also know that I don't speak.
Has this ever happened to you? You're thought of something, not say it, and it pop up.
So what I have done is I have turned off my history. My Google history, my YouTube history, it's off. So they don't show me anything by algorithm. If I open my YouTube right now, it's blank, and the bar is there for me to type in whatever I want to type in, and nothing is suggested when I type in. There's no record of what I usually search.
I kind of like it.
I don't.
That's kind of like it.
I would type it a million times. I don't want to predict it.
So did. How convenient.
That's crazy.
How convenient.
On Instagram, I liked one post of this chocolate man. And I gone through my Instagram, there's a million chocolate man.
Yeah.
A chocolate man mean a black man? Or like
I'm just saying, and I find it look good. And I'm not usually, I had this conversation with Edson thousands of times. I'm not usually visually stimulated. So I have clicked like on all kind of spiritual awareness quotes and yoga pose and whatever, but I didn't get 1,000 of those. From the time I clicked one chocolate, all the man, if you open my Instagram now is only chocolate. And I said, wait, boy, just one like this?
They probably watch how long you stay on the post. They probably watch the post. It's check how long you watch the post.
They like stupidness.
Come on, I watched this post for 10 minutes.
What inspired me to turn off my history in the first place is that, again, I'm always going down the rabbit hole with all kind of conspiracy theories, the CIA, the classifieds. I'm always in them things, digging up. And when I turn on the Google, it doesn't show me those things. But one day, I open an article about P. Diddy. That's all they have to show me. Every single article about P. Diddy. Which last thing they say?
No, boy, which one? Which one?
I saw one TikTok video. It was verified, and we could put it up as we continue talking. But they're saying that's how they saw that he transferred $1 million, and the $1 million was linked to the death of Tupac, and essentially saying he is the person who only hit on Tupac and came out in court.
They've been saying this for years.
Yeah, that's not the first time that was said.
No, but this was a TikTok of a man saying that it came out in court that it was linked to Tupac's death, and that essentially they're holding him accountable for that. So, and I can't see his evidence. I was just wondering if you all heard about that thing.
I didn't see that particular video, but I've been seeing people saying that.
When I used to see him on screen, I used to be like, wow, he looks really evil. But I used to think it was just like, is this a persona? Is this like this part of his thing? But
I don't tell you the truth, so that is brought me the wrong way. I don't Beyonce. I
don't get that right from Beyonce. I don't get that.
Right? I never liked P. Diddy.
P. Diddy is like really seem like
never liked him because when I used to watch like Making the Band and stuff, he was just always so aggressive.
Yeah, boy. Go and buy cheesecake.
He was so aggressive and like dominating. So when the news started coming out about how he was, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that.
You saw the clip of P. Diddy touching Mike Tyson's leg.
It looked like he used to touch everybody.
No, but this is Mike Tyson. I was like,
he didn't have a leg, he didn't touch.
So when I was watching, I was just like, you have to like be real confident in your control and your power to watch Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I don't try to
Touch this man.
touch up Mike Tyson on screen.
Point bite
And that's be
okay.
cool. I'd be like, that would be the worst. That would even be the worst.
I was just saying, it that would be the first thing that will happen. You touch my leg and you get your ears bitten off.
We digress.
Just say it.
He did so confidently to her. She's like, no,
No, he didn't do attack. He was, it was like a rub was going on. Like, there I was like,
and Tyson move or something.
yeah, Mike Tyson moved his hand.
Yeah.
And you
that
have
was
to
rough.
remember that these celebrities, they are constantly being reminded that they're being watched. Right? Their PR people, they tell them all the time, you are being watched. Somebody is recording you. And that's why a lot of the time they just smile and they move kind of robotically because they know that they're being watched. There's no false move you can make. A lot of the time celebrities get embarrassed if their skirt is high up and your underwear come out and that's it all over the tablet. So you have to be so aware all the time of every step you take, every move you make. So that when somebody touch your leg, you ain't want to cuff down this man, no. But at the same time, you ain't want that man touch your leg either. You know what I mean?
He didn't get tough in the face after.
I'm surprised Mike Tyson was able to pull this company.
The amount of money that he could have lost by not
I don't think Mike
holding his
Tyson
composure.
care about that.
I don't think
I don't
so.
know.
Why he didn't react. It has to be, that is the one reason why he wouldn't react. If there's a lot at stake.
I guess.
Then it has to be, because the average person would have tripped off. But these are not average people. They're under a lot of societal pressure all the time. And so there's certain things that they do that make me not trust them. And like, I don't know what it is about me.
Why? Yeah, why do you not like
Yeah.
this?
Never, you
Never
know.
get that vibe
Not
of Beyonce.
even in the Destiny's Child, you know.
So-
Never, you know. As the same with Marshall, they just rub me the wrong way, make my paws raise, and I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near this person. There's something about them just irk me. I don't know if it's my ancestors or what.
Rihanna cool with it.
Well, yeah.
Yes. What are we? She's
He do like Marshall? Or go bungee?
What about you?
Alright.
I don't like it.
Why
I
don't
think
like
you
Okay,
like-
I love Thea.
No, but you just think you think
I
that's
love Thea and Dinosaur. And I love Bungie by himself.
He do like them together?
I do not like them together. Not as a couple, but I mean performing on the stage.
Why?
I find Thea could perform separately.
Why?
You should support her.
I think she takes away from herself this performance. I think she definitely. Let's go. You go. You go and leave Bungie. Let Bungie do his thing. Right? And the thing is, I think also that Fayan is a lot stronger.
By herself.
By herself. And what Bungie does when Fayan is performing is he really goes way into the background when she's performing. But when he's performing, Fayan wants to be part of his performance. And it really does take away from his performance.
Because he does have a very low key performance. Like visually, he's low
When
key.
she's there.
No, just even when I think even when he's on stage by himself, he doesn't try to be like visually extra. His vocals,
Right.
He stand up and you.
No, you're right.
He does. He's like.
No, he's there with words.
Yeah,
He's
the words that they
Yes, yes. He is. But I
She's
feel like she's
visual.
coming back.
So, but then she's been trying to be visual, and then he'll like go to the back.
Exactly. And he gives her that because that's his wife. So he just be like, alright, babe, you be it. But really and truly,
Oh, Bungie is the greatest soca artist
yes.
right now. I actually think Fiona is one of, if not the best female artists.
She's not bad. I love her. I don't hate her. I really don't hate her. I just don't like her with the people.
So you prefer Bungie over Kes performance?
Yes, I prefer Bungie over every artist in Trinidad.
Performing.
Everything.
I second.
Everything.
Okay, so Cass is a good performer. Cass the band is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I think as an entity they're really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say.
I-
They're good.
I think the
But
hierarchy is
Bungie?
Bungie, Marshall, Tess.
Okay.
That is my hierarchy. Marshall, Tess.
All right, we digress. So, do your students know that you do karate?
Yes.
Yeah, but did any kind of program with them at school?
I used to, before COVID, I used to teach karate in the school. And then, so I just started it, and then COVID.
No, that was me in people's school with yoga. Boy, I now get my yoga club. First Bishop Fancy High School Yoga Club. Cool.
Yeah.
Like literally 2 weeks after.
Your first time?
Second.
Second time? Yeah. Very good. Oh, is your you do Shotokan?
Yeah.
Is Shotokan your favorite of the karate?
So if I'm trying not to be biased,
Yeah.
which is very difficult, I really like fusion. Yeah.
I do like it too. Do you feel like Shotokan is effective for self-defense?
Yes, I have. So if you train it correctly, yes. So there's some watered down versions of Shotokan, and then there's Shotokan. So and it's been proven. We have had UFC champions that use Shotokan. Lyoto Machida used Shotokan karate, and he was a UFC champion using the same techniques that I use in tournaments. So I know it's effective.
How long do you think it takes somebody to become, like the average person, to be able to defend themselves with Shotokan?
It will vary.
But the average club trainer club.
So the average Trinidad club, the problem with the average clubs is that they train twice a week. And twice a week, in my opinion, is not enough to get effective over a short period of time. Now, what happens is that people who get interested and sort of like the sport or like the arts, they will train on their own for additional time, but they'll come together and train, and that is when they start to excel. So if they train, let's say 6 times a week, which is what you should do if you're really serious about martial arts or any sport, at least 6 times a week, because you need rest, I would say, and it's proper training, there's a proper coach, and you have people to practice with.
But they have no club unit right now.
No, but only the national team.
Okay.
So I would say 2 to 3 years. So the national team we're supposed to train, let's say 5, for the least 5 times a week. Sometimes you train more, so you might train more in an evening and stuff like that. So that is where the level will start to rise.
So I've seen Shotokan where people do sparring from front steps. You see that?
Yeah, we don't do. I can say at least the people that I train with don't do that.
It's still? Would you say that that's unusual?
It's unusual.
It's unusual.
Yeah, so they have basics where they practice in front.
So they're in down one block boxing.
That's not usual. That's
true.
Yeah.
And this is like Bronco or something. And I was
So nuts.
and I won't go anywhere. and I won't.
That's terrible.
It's like, so they're just bouncing. They're bouncing down one block.
Yeah.
Walking stance, and they're bouncing like that. And then they would like explode forward and try to do a punch or kick or whatever. And be like,
My
this
goodness.
is very unusual.
You have to describe that, and I feel like I am almost that.
And I think it's a relatively common thing.
No, I mean, it's also some fighters fight with their hands down and successful. Look at this guy who's in the UFC now. He used to be in Bellator.
I think we talked about the split.
Yeah. I don't know why his name.
Michael-
Michael Venom Page. He fights this hands down and it's pretty
He did like
effective.
ISK.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I really do like about Shotokan? Or the forms. I feel like you all have really nice explosive cutters.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a martial art, it's like a really good one, especially for the forms. I think as biased as I am, I think they forms Shotokan. I feel like they're better than Taekwondo forms because of the explosiveness, the speed, the athleticism that you get to see. Above that, I'll put like kung fu forms.
Kung fu forms.
Yeah, I feel like those forms are
I
like
agree.
really
Can I ask
fun to
you,
look at. Sure.
what has led to the lack of popularity? It's long or
It's still popular, in Trinidad, I mean. It's still popular, it's just where it's popular. So, like in South, it has a pretty good following in Kung Fu. I think it's, I don't know, I'm guessing the lack of opportunities that you can get with Kung Fu.
to get good comments.
So Taekwondo, there's an Olympic, you could be part of the TOC, and you could probably be part of, it could be a national Taekwondo athlete. Same thing with karate. I don't think there's any for Kung Fu.
for Kung Fu.
There are limited competitions, I think.
Mhm.
And I think that if you get into Kung Fu, you are some sort of martial arts purist and you're just doing it for your own internal
Growth and development
growth and development. And not so many people in 2024
on it.
care about that. Yeah.
Right.
They want some sort of.
So that's what it is.
Sure.
Because I was wondering, because a lot of people refer to Kung Fu as a purist for. So I just wanted to know why there was a lack of interest or
I think
drop in interest.
I think there's also now, especially with MMA, people think it's not as effective in defending yourself. But it depends on the type of kung fu that you do.
Yeah, because not gonna say which is not true. It's just
I can't say. Well,
according to the style.
It really depends on the style and the school that you're in.
Yeah.
Because like if you like Shaolin monks, they's be doing a kind of kickboxing type of martial art where there's a lot of punches, a lot of kicks, like the basics of those things. Plus, they have their very acrobatic forms and stuff that they do. And so it depends on if your school doing that. If your school is only focusing on like the animal forms and the wind form and that kind of thing, chance you could spend your life doing wind form. But so it looked very cool. And then somebody might want to try. Somebody tried to comment on the page. Somebody who's to come for Kung Fu Master challenge that. I was like, I think he was talking about that with form and different forms and things he's doing stuff.
As you talk about it, what is it that makes some people? I don't know if you know the answer, but it will make some people comment. I go spy in there. Bring your team back. Come here now. That's all they are. Like what?
For some reason, I never understand this. And I never understand it, right? So if I train in running, right, and I'm a running, you are not going to think you could beat me in running. If I train in gymnastics, you're not going to think you could beat me in gymnastics.
They come on out, flip me now.
But for some reason, when you do a martial art, people just believe, even though you train in it for years, they could beat you in it. You'll just see red and you'll get strong.
So it depends. I feel like it depends on if you're doing a traditional martial art or if you're doing one of the combat sports.
Right.
Because I do think people say that if you do.
But it's not true. That's not true.
No, I take it back.
All the time.
Yeah, because like people who doing like, so I call a combat sport like boxing, kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai. Very rarely do people go up to those people and say, I feel like I beat you. But I take it back because it still happens. Because even our boxing videos and stuff, people be like, we can outbox you. But I think it's just a testosterone thing. People want to fight.
Look how much times I've watched videos of UFC fighters sparring with internet trolls who say, I could beat you in a fight, and they say, well, come to the gym, and they actually come.
No, so really and truly, I think it's really testosterone. Today, I was in the barbershop. And Olympics is on the screen.
Right.
100 meters running, and these not so healthy men
living in the barbershop,
drinking Guinness and Heineken. It's like, that man not explosive. He start too slow, he foot dragging thing, he don't know power thing, and he's like, come, that one didn't run in the race, and he should have more pride thing. I'm like, bro, you don't
know what it takes.
That person don't run with any technique. I'm like,
I see your technique.
I feel like people do just like to criticize it. I think it's the culture of sport, and it's something I've never been able to connect to it, especially with football and like team sport. People get very passionate about team sports and critiquing sports, and just feeling like they might just be better at something than...
And that they can see things that people who've been training for
years can't dedicate their life to. They can't see it.
Yeah, I really don't like to go watch UFC or boxing like in public.
Right.
And have people around who are not athletes, not martial artists, and they're like, come. Well, just get up. I'm like,
cardio.
That's funny.
Yeah. Especially bodybuilders believe that they could beat fighters for some reason as well. They think muscle equates to being able to fight. I'm stronger than you, so I could fight you. You get very bad, especially when you're big and it's slow.
Also, very important, bodybuilders usually aren't very strong.
They just look strong.
Yeah, so like I am not stronger than I was when I was 180 pounds doing strength and conditioning.
Right.
Now the exercises I do, the way I do them is to get me larger, to get the muscle bigger. So I'm doing it differently.
That's it.
Yeah. So I'm learning how to do that now, but I was stronger back when I was way lighter.
Especially with striking, because power is equal to speed. And if you're bigger, you're going to be slower. And then if you don't understand how to operate your muscles,
I think understanding is just that if you've trained, the training that I'm doing is I'm doing slow training.
Right. If you have to train specifically with fast twitch muscles and stuff like that.
So so you could be big and explosive.
But you had to train.
Exactly. Especially training to be explosive with the weight.
Yeah.
So even if it's additional weights, resistance, you know what I mean? You're learning how to be explosive with that additional weight on your body, so that even if you don't have the additional weight, you can continue. Resistance training more or less. But I feel like once you're not doing that, most of the time your size will slow down.
Even if you're not trained for it.
Yeah.
So I know you're saying that you used to teach, you used to coach. You're telling me something about maybe some plans you might have had for later on with martial arts and education.
Yeah. So with education, I want to open an online school in the near future, so they could subscribe one time. For karate, I am not karate, but martial arts, and I'm trying to think of ways to promote martial arts, so we could see the standard in the country increase. One of the ways I was looking at is possibly having inter-school tournaments. I think it would be, especially for the martial arts that are aligned with TOC. So I was looking at specifically Taekwondo and Karate. If you could, and Judo, thank you. If you could get those into school, in the school system, and create competitions among the schools, because competition is always push people and motivate people to do better and become better.
You have to be training towards something.
Exactly.
It's nice to be training towards something.
Exactly.
So that we can look forward to it every year at this particular time.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this year, they go next year, and that kind of generates the healthy competition.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like competition is necessary. Constant competition is necessary for people to perform. Yeah. People watch Trinidad track and field, they watch Jamaican track and field and try to compare and wonder why we might not be on the same level as Jamaica, even though we have similar genetics, great coaches, and facilities maybe. But they have competition from even late primary school. They have regular track and field competitions that are supported by the population. People coming out to watch it. They have fans. There's a reason for them. There's a reason for them to not just that. There's just a reason for them to train. So even Intercal, our biggest, I think Intercal is our CPL is our biggest thing, right? Right. But Intercal would be our second biggest thing, right? These stances have real space. Yeah. So like what is do is if we have competitions and they have 6 people in the stands, I feel like the culture of Trinidad has to become more supportive in the development of athletes by coming out to support them at these competitions, which would come down to, I guess, the marketing of it.
Yeah, now going to say that
I think sponsorship and local businesses getting involved has a big part to play. I feel like once they, as the community, is really not supporting the initiative, then the public won't. So if I own a potato chips business, right, and I see the Intercall match coming up, I should go and align myself with this Intercall match, and through my promotions, be able to draw more people and get everybody involved.
They'll only do it if it's happy people there.
So that's why I'm saying it's upside down. I feel like the businesses need to get more involved to help generate the awareness and get people there.
I would argue that the
associations,
they could start.
They need to reach out to these people and make a bigger effort to partner with them.
But they could also start it by doing their own promotion. Because I only hear about Intercal games after they happen. When I watch the news,
right,
I will see a quick one online. Hey, look, so and so play. And 2-0, okay.
So I feel like the marketing is not there.
That is true, boy. Because really, Intercal is one of our biggest sporting products. And I care about Intercal. And I've never seen, it's not very easy to access when those games are, when they coming up, what's the schedule? When you,
Exactly.
The only time Intercom was important to me was the Free for one.
Exactly.
And the only reason it was important is because all my friends was talking about it and they did it.
And see, I see have a match.
Yeah.
So where we picking up from?
Integral marketing.
I remember Sharice. It was Sharice?
Yeah.
Your friend Sharice. She was also speaking about the games that day. Was it Curfta?
It was the under 19 football world championship, World Cup or something.
And was severely undermarketed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a trend
Mm-hmm.
in Trinidad where things are of certain level of importance are undermarketed. And whether it's because you receive funds late or there's not enough attention into those fine details, it's actually the sport that suffers in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there needs to be a bigger emphasis on the athletes and building their personal profiles a little bit more. 'Cause I feel like in the States, when you talk about like high school football, high school basketball, even track and field, they talk about so and so athlete and they have like the poster up and they have kids who want to be like that person and people know who the striker is for that team, they know who's the point guard for that team, and because of that people get attracted to stories. They don't really
Exactly.
come to play or to watch
The
who
game
dribbling
itself.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
They fall in love with the story of these players and
How they persevere, how they get to
that
where
kind
they
of stuff,
are.
and that's what makes people love football teams and love
Very true.
different teams or whatever. I think that little aspect of storytelling is missing from the branding of
And the
sport
promotions.
teams.
Yeah. Definitely agree with
I
that.
agree. The issue they'll face though is that when they finally create, let's say, a star in the intercal level, that boy is gonna graduate or that girl is gonna graduate,
Well, yeah, I think
and then you have to create
in
a
more
next
stars,
one
yeah, like
after.
creating stars, yeah.
Yeah. So it could be a bit difficult as opposed to a club. You could create a star and you could promote that star for a few years and profit off it and stuff like that.
No, they will profit because if they create stars, they'll get people in the stands, and if they have people in the
True.
stands, they will get money for admission, and they will make money.
And they'll
So they have
also
to
have
create the
more
stars, yeah.
aspiring stars,
Yeah.
Very true.
right? Because they're being inspired by this particular star. So they're like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. Daddy, mommy, I want to do that. And they get placed in a position to grab the opportunity to train and hopefully, accomplish whatever their desires are. So I think it could only be beneficial to invest in proper promotion of the youth and the games
Yeah.
that they're involved in. And the fact that we don't put enough effort into that is only robbing our own selves
Yeah.
of the stars that we could produce.
And I
Yeah.
think people look too short term. So the people would invest in things that they could get a return from now, as opposed to the huge return we could get in the long run if we invest in the youth now. And it's an issue that we have.
I don't know, but it's tough way. I feel like any business they have to invest.
In something with immediate gratification.
They have to be able to explain to the board why they're giving these people $50,000 of the business
Yeah.
money, and to show that they have to have some population of people supporting it, that's seeing the product and making it visible. Is when they invest in it, they're not just giving. It's not a gift. It's not a
Yeah,
gift.
I know it's an investment. They would like a
investment.
return on this investment.
You know what I would do? If I let's say I was managing my school's intercal team, I would create a social media platform for them.
Yes.
I would do promo videos. I would
Yes.
get a huge amount of followers. Once I reach 20,000 followers, so I'm going to get a sponsor and I'm going to say, if you sponsor my team, I'm going to show your product, I'm going to show your
Yeah.
service, I'm going to show your logo on my social media platform where thousands of people could see.
How would you get to 20,000 followers? Because I feel
Right.
you might know. You're doing real good.
So you have to look at what people like,
The trends.
right? So that is not enough, huh? After you look at what people like and you give them what they like, you have to give them a reason to follow you. because people could look at your videos and enjoy them, but just not follow you.
Yeah, that's
Gotta
true.
give them a
Yeah,
reason.
that's
to
We hit them
follow
the two tap, and that's it.
That's becoming
Yeah.
a vex right now.
you. People enjoy your videos.
People watching the videos, liking the videos, I'm like, why don't you follow it?
Just follow the page. So you have to give them an incentive, like and follow, etc., etc. for
exactly.
XYZ.
A simple thing. If you go on YouTube, 3/4 of the videos will start off with people saying, before we start, please
Subscribe.
remember to subscribe.
Like,
So tell them to do it. Give them a reason. That goes a long way.
That's true.
That's why I saw most of my followers coming in, and I would say, I'm going to have a live session doing this past paper. Follow me so you won't miss it. So I give them a reason to follow me. Boom. I get 1,000 followers or 500 followers, things like that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so
Strategies.
Yeah, I really need to start doing that.
So yeah, when it comes to the content creation, it's really good to, I think that it's really good to consult a professional in content creation. Because while we feel like we know all the best ways and we might think that, yeah man, this bound to kick up, a lot of the time there's a science behind it, there's a formula behind it, and they are.
But is there anybody that you know who's like really good at like short?
I know a couple people.
Who's like the top person there, you know?
Oh gosh, I have to call names.
that's
But
professional.
Like, and just bigging them up is like, if you like, that
true.
person real
Free
good. but
promotion.
That person,
24 carats. Just saying. They get.
like, what does do? They
They are
creating their own
virtual
content,
assistants
or they helping other
and
people?
social content creators and content
So
managers.
they're making
Okay.
their own content, or they're making content?
No,
for other
they work
people?
for other companies.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
She used to work for like Monster Media and these places. Like, yeah.
Because in my experience, when I see people who say they are professional content creators and they want to teach people how to create
They don't know how
content,
to do it.
when I look at their social media and I realize I have more followers than them.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
can
But you
I
know what they
do
say,
you?
those who can't do teach. But no, really like the fact that they could set up a calendar for you and automatically post on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they have different things and you can schedule it in advance. And, and I mean, they like us, I guess, yeah. Speaking to a professional when it comes to navigating that realm is very helpful.
So what I did, I looked at people who were successful,
Right.
and I would basically
Just do what
copy
they do.
what they do,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
offer my own thing to it.
That is one of the best ways to master
You
anything.
dance yet or?
That is the one thing I use it to
He ain't
do.
doing the TikTok
The
dances.
students tried to get me to dance once. I did the dance, but I never posted. I couldn't do it.
Good job.
My heart-
He's like, this is not me. I'm not doing this.
If you had looked good doing the dance, you'd have posted.
Now,
Oh,
If you like you're selling yourself.
firstly, everything is physically possible for me to look good doing the dance.
oh dear.
It's just not my talent. You have to know your strong suit.
Okay.
Dance is not my talent. And now, secondly, I made a promise at the start of my TikTok journey.
Yeah.
I told my wife if she ever see me doing a dance, she allowed to hit me in my face. Right?
So you just waiting. You just waiting for the day to catch him. You just hear the rhythm starting to peep out. Is he dancing? Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but thought about it, it was like, maybe if I do a dance now, I could get 1,000, you know.
Nah.
I could get 1,000. this week.
Only when my students were begging me, I was going to do it for them. But it wasn't going to be for me.
Right.
Yeah,
Edson, you dancing or?
I really hope it do come to that, you know. I really do hope. You know, when you have a business, like they have this joke about how all these business owners now come into the realization that they have to be these content creators in order to sell the ice cream or the food or whatever.
Right.
And it's
Everybody
just
had to be an
I really
influencer.
just want to teach people martial arts.
Right.
I really want them to get fit,
Yeah.
do martial arts.
But you and your daughter need to come
now
and do a
I'm
little
like,
dance.
wanting to dance to get these people to come and do martial arts because I'm like, you'll get views, and if I do it, they'll laugh, they'll comment, I'll get engagement, and like, am I going to sell myself to
Yes.
this dance?
But you know what will give you engagement?
Well,
Doing martial arts.
yeah.
I saw a video with you they get posted all over the place doing a series of kicks. I saw a lot of different people. I think she showed me the video and I was like, hey, I know this guy. So the stuff like that would give you
A lot of views.
Yeah, I think I need to go back to the basics.
Do like
Yeah.
10 kicking videos and one dance. That is it there. Viral. Hey, Ole, see the kicking guy. The kicking guy, he do a dance.
Adulting is so wild. Adulting is so wild. Imagine I made a business. Because I like martial arts. So I started Edson Breedy Taekwondo because I wanted to do Taekwondo and train. This is the original thing, right? So train people to be my sparring partners.
Right.
So I could have more people to do
spar
Taekwondo
with.
with.
Right.
Because I had very few adult Taekwondo practitioners. So I was like, I go and make my own Taekwondo machine. And now it's reached to the point where like I am barely there to do the classes that I
Right.
want. So I'm trying to like build it into like the place of my dreams where I'd have like all the different martial arts. I could just show up a day with my backpack and I feel to do some boxing now, a little Taekwondo, and I have all these coaches doing that. I'm like, no, I can't even do the training. I'm just like trying to make TikTok videos and manage
get more people in the
payroll and do all these other things as opposed to the thing that I really want to do. So, but I know that this year will be my year to win the lottery, and when I win the lotto, I'll be able to.
Well, boy, all of we got to split that lot.
I'll be able to train as much as possible.
I wish, you know what? If all of we win the lotto, I'll give you my share.
I'll give you some of my shares.
See?
Wait, let's
we
get
care
it
about the
straight.
dream.
If what? If
all of us win.
How
'Cause
do all of us win?
You know, multiple people could win the same lotto draw, right? And you just have to split the money.
right. So you
Right.
mean
So
if
that
you
was
win,
say, if
so
we win
you the
together,
lotto,
I'll give you my
What happens
share.
if you win the lotto?
Well, I mean,
Would you share?
I'll get a share.
I'll invest.
I know you
I'll
said
invest in
one
the
thing
Edson
though.
Breedy experience.
I know you're since small.
Don't worry,
but
don't worry,
SEC
Bali.
lessons,
Don't
that's
worry,
okay.
Bali. I am back.
Bali with an investment. Guys, please like and subscribe Bali_S on TikTok. Follow him. Great content, funny, entertaining stuff, plus educational stuff, especially if you're prepping for CXC for what subjects?
For basically all subjects, but specifically POA, POB, Econ, Office Administration. So that's the subjects I specialize in, but I have other teachers for the other subjects.
That's why. That's a lot of subjects you're covering, right? And then you could also check out his channel on YouTube, Bali's Tutor Professionals.
Yeah.
Bali's Tutor Professionals on YouTube, and that's where you have a lot more. You have like more longer tutorials.
Yeah. So I have like past papers. I have information how to do SBAs. I'm gonna upload some content about how to do specific parts of certain subjects and stuff like that. It should be pretty helpful. I would say check it out. And
Okay.
definitely subscribe.
That is really awesome. I'm not sure if you have access to these things, but there's something that helped me pass CXC that I feel like not many people had access to.
And what's that?
So like right before CXC, chemistry, mathematics, and some other paper, I'd gotten a CD that had a CD. What an old boy. A
Comes-
CD.
it comes
You're,
with the
you're
textbook.
lucky it wasn't a
Huh?
Came with the
cassette.
textbook.
No, it was no, it didn't come with textbook. It was past. It was like the past like 3 CXC exams answers, and it was the question and the answer exactly how the
Wow.
examiners wanted it.
Wow.
And so I just went and read all the questions and answers, and I was like, oh, that's how they want me to phrase this. That's how they want me to word it. That's the information they wanted. And then after I did it, it eased my anxiety because I realized that like for the past 3 years, it's kind of the same question it is asked like for question one, for question two, whatever. And then I was like, oh, they go and ask me this good and come most likely. Like they have a high chance of this coming and showed me exactly how to answer it. I can't remember who was able to get it for me. I'm like, I kept telling other kids about it afterwards,
Yeah.
and not many people seem to like know this thing existed.
I never
You never heard about it? So it was like from.
I think I
I hope this is not
heard
an illegal.
about
I hope
it.
this is not an illegal thing. But this was like the part. This is the part. The
Past paper
papers,
answers, yeah.
But it's the past paper plus the
Answers.
the exact answer that they want.
From the CXC people.
From the CXC
More than
people.
likely,
Right.
more than likely,
I think it was given to the teachers.
I'm guessing it would have been given to teachers who were correcting for CXC.
Right.
So it probably definitely wasn't supposed to get in their hands.
I'm not supposed to get that.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well,
Yeah.
thank God that I got that because that changed the game.
So did
If
you
I
get
did
a
not
1 in
get that-
chemistry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
good
it
job.
happened within a week of me seeing, oh, this is what I want. This is exactly what they wanted. Before that, I just read in the textbook and, hoping that all this stuff.
I had given up on chemistry like in Form 4 when I realized that the dream they sell me in Form 3 was not the dream in Form 4.
Well, my teacher was always pregnant.
Oh gosh.
Need to see her name by English dates. But all Trinity Mocha students know who I'm talking about.
Oh no. So my what I did is my dad put me in sack lessons.
Big up, Sack.
Big up sack
Best
lessons. Yes, it was our best lime. And
It
you
was.
see the Tyndale? That
Tyndale
Tyndale.
do real damage.
That Tyndale do
Tyndale.
real damage.
Yeah.
And I went from giving up on chemistry in Form 4 to getting a high 2. And I was cool with my 2 because I had given up. I was done with this chemistry.
Miss Beckles' lessons.
Ooh,
I'm not sure if you all ever heard
that
about
Beckles
Miss
song
Name
familiar.
sound
But
familiar.
Miss Beckles' lessons also, saving for A levels.
Right.
Saving for A levels.
Right.
She really fine-tuned exactly what
Big
the
up Miss
answers were.
Beckles.
Yeah, big up Miss Beckles. I hope she's
Around.
doing well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, when I see your content, it looks like you're giving people the same kind of information that I think people need. Otherwise, people guessing, people
Exactly.
hoping that the thing that they study is the right thing to study, or the way they interpreting it is the right way.
Yeah.
So I think it could give people a lot of hope. Do you let them do questions with you, like online? Like,
Yes, so sometimes I would have a live session. Actually, some of the videos that I have on YouTube are recorded live sessions.
Right.
So I would go TikTok live, I would pull up the question, we would do the answers together, and I would record it automatically. And when we finish, I'll just upload. So you on the YouTube video, you'll hear me explaining to students. Students will be asking questions. Some of them will be providing different answers and stuff like that. Okay, you know, to have different correct answers. You could rephrase the same thing in different ways. So you hear
Right,
it from
right.
different aspects and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think that the CXA exam is a good exam? From my point of view, it seemed like it was a good exam. I think I don't think we should have to do SCA. I think it's a silly exam. I think
Yeah.
it destroys. I think it is a major contributing factor to crime and the destruction of society. I think.
I agree 100%.
But I feel like the CXA exam is like well placed. I think is relatively fair. I liked the
So-
CXA. I find it was a decent exam, but I'm not sure how.
So yes and no. If for some subjects, yes.
Yes, I
For
agree
some,
with that.
no. And there are some subjects where the syllabus is a bit too broad.
Do you think the CXA exam is a good exam?
So there are some positives and some negatives. I'll say it like that. I don't think it's perfect. For example, if you compare the POB syllabus to the POA syllabus, it's a huge difference. The POA syllabus is way larger, but you still have the same amount of time to prepare for both of them. You have 3 terms in Form 4, 2 terms in Form 5, but they're testing you on both. Find it's not balanced, and then they keep changing the syllabus. So right now, there are literally topics on the syllabus that you have to cover that is not on the recommended CXC textbook. So to have teachers, there are some teachers who probably don't even know how to teach those topics. They have to go and learn the topics and then learn how to teach it to the students.
When they make the change.
Exactly. Create their own resources and then teach it. Sometimes they have training sessions with teachers, but you can only do so much. And that's done by the ministry, not by CSEC.
It'd be real good if students knew that before they signed up. Like, is it are teachers telling students this, like, okay, like are classes ranked like bigger syllabus, smaller syllabus? If you could see that, I think that'd be real important for people to know.
It would also be a big demotivator.
For
So
sure.
imagine your teacher coming to you and saying, all right guys, so this POA syllabus real long, chances are I ain't gonna be able to cover everything, and it's one or two topics I don't know how to teach, you know. But we go and get
So,
past the 6.
I guess I think about it different, because I hear that real plenty, but it was too
Right.
late. Because after I come and sit down and buy my textbooks and I sit around in classes, like, well, boy,
It can't be
This
pressure.
could be real pressure. We have real things to cover. We're probably not going to be able to cover everything. Only need to do a lot of self-directed learning.
Oh my gosh.
But it'd be great if, like, from Form 1 to Form 3, before you choose subjects,
Mm-hmm.
they had a little infographic
Yes.
that was just like, okay, maths is this big, bio is this big, POA, POB is this big. And then you could be like, I'm going to do this. And then you could know that, all right, I'm going to do one big one, two small ones, a medium one. That might
I
be really,
feel like
might be
that
useful.
would be better, and also for
Before
subjects
you-
that have a bigger syllabus, you can start covering the work from Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, so that you spread it out a little bit more, knowing that there's more to cover in this particular subject.
So there are some schools that start some of those topics from Form 3. So in Corpus, for example, to get students acquainted with the subjects, they would let them do some of the subjects in Form 3. So they might do, for the business, for example, they will do POB in Term 1 and Form 3, POA Term 2, and then Econ Term 3. So they will get an idea what the subject has to offer.
So
and
we
they'll help them
did
decide.
that at Bishop's, but so in Form 3 we did a total of 17 subjects. So we
Yes.
did POA, POB, Econ, we did biochem, physics, we did food and nutrition, we did textile, we did everything possible in Form 3, and then you choose your subject.
That is wild.
17?
17.
I mean, I say nice while, but there's...
We did French, we did
Guyana.
Spanish. Yeah,
Form 1.
we did everything.
In Guyana, there's all kind of 25 subjects and stuff like that.
Are there 25?
But as
It's
like
like over
special-
30.
but the schools do that like normal, or like a person could
I-
decide. I think a people.
I have no idea,
I
but
heard the other boy who do 25 subjects or something.
multiple students. So because I do this on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
I don't just have Trinidadian students. I have students from multiple Caribbean countries, and every year I see who doing 14, who doing. I had a student who was sad because he only got 14 passes. His words.
Only.
Only got 14 passes.
My
Like,
good with my 8.
Yeah, parents could put so much pressure on, and that's why I wanted. I think the infographic would be helpful, because parents is be thinking, is the same amount of work that everybody doing, and they don't know that the subjects your child choose have a bigger volume of work to do, or that, as you pointed out, the teachers might not be up to date with the techniques to teach it or the information itself, and all they know is my child not doing good. Why not doing good is your fault.
Yeah.
Your fault. So I think that'll be real important for parents to understand before their kids choose, knowing which school, understand that, okay, in our school, we're not prepared. We might be as prepared right now for a certain subject because the transition just happened for POB, and we don't know how
But
to do these things. Or something.
it's true, huh? But at the same time,
Nobody will say that.
yeah, they wouldn't see it.
They never
And
did that.
it is the teacher's ethical obligation
Figured.
to ensure that they are prepared to teach it before it might be easier for some than others. So for me, I never had an issue, especially with accounting. Accounting is like my favorite subject. It was the first professional qualification I did. I looked at ACCA. I did ACCA before I went to UWI. So accounting is like my baby. I worked as an accountant, so stuff like that is no issue for me. But every teacher wouldn't have the same
Yeah.
story that I
How
have.
do you feel about kids doing exams in January?
I have no problem with it.
Good practice.
I feel like it takes a lot of stress off of them to get some of their easier subjects or even more difficult subjects out of the way earlier and split the amount of time and stress that they have to put in preparing for exam.
I have students, parents who come to me with children who are in Form 1 and ask me to tutor them to write certain exams. So like POB, for example, they don't really need to do anything in Form 1 to Form 3 to cover the POB syllabus.
Right.
So they come to me and say, can you tutor my child to do POB next year? Sure. I tutor them.
Form 2, they write in the exam.
Yeah, no, Form 1.
Wow.
So they start September Form 1. By May, June, the following year, they write in
Right.
the exam. Because remember, tutoring them, so they get in the information a bit faster, they gain one-on-one attention. So yeah, I have no problem with them doing exams in January.
Do they end up doing it again in
No.
Form 5? They
No.
just do that one time, have the qualification, and then
Yeah.
continue with other subjects.
Because a pass is a pass at the end of the day. So if
Exactly.
it is you do it in January and you get the 2 or the 1 or whatever the case is, you don't really need to do it again.
Exactly. Right now, I have a 13-year-old student who is doing POA and maths with me. So
Okay.
they planning to write the exam next year. The only
A
one I'm not sure
13-year-old
about
doing
is
maths?
maths I'm thinking about telling them to do
Take a
3
little more
years
time.
in maths. Yeah, but the POA, because it's one-on-one, they could definitely cover it.
If somebody wants to contact you about doing these private lessons, did message you on TikTok?
Yeah, they can message on TikTok, Instagram, same Bali Suita Professionals, YouTube, anyway. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, but the pressure that people be putting on students is crazy. Parents don't even know. I mean, we talked about ADHD earlier, right? And a lot of times parents don't know how much the kids with ADHD suffering trying to get the work done, and they can't get it done, and parents just like blaming them, getting upset with them, and leads to all sorts of behavioral issues later on, and putting pressure on students to do subjects they don't want
Want to do.
to do. Yeah, so I mean, you said you're real good at you're good at accounting and you liked it. I did accounting in university. Terrible. It was I couldn't do it. It was very difficult for my brain to wrap around that kind of information. It was way easier for me to just do science subjects. And if you end up inclined to something, and your parents insist on you doing that next subject, your life could really be.
Yeah. No, so for
Set up
instance,
a-
I was
set up a
always
drama.
really, really good at art. And I didn't do art for CXC or Cape level. And I should have.
Probably should.
Because I was so good. But the thing is, I was so good at it, my parents didn't think I needed to do it. And I also borrowed that mentality that, well, I done there, I don't know, I already grasp these
extra
skills and
one.
techniques. I don't need to do it,
Yeah.
And I feel like if you harness your kids' skills more than try to force them down a particular path, they'll be happier kids, and then they also get to choose a career that is more in tune with who they want to be.
And I'm going to say something blasphemous for teachers, but some parents think that if the child fails the CXC exam is the end of the world.
Oh, the
and
end.
they are failure and they're not going to make it in life. And it's just not true.
It ain't
That's
true.
not true. It's just an exam. They could always rewrite it. They have so much other alternatives. I know someone who failed almost all of their CXC exams, went and do a thing in Silval, did a whole set of qualifications, and now she's one of the most successful people I know.
I legit, one of my best friends from primary school, she failed maths 6 times. And she makes way more money than I do. She don't need that maths to count that money she make.
Somebody else counted.
Yeah, she can hire
she can
somebody
buy
to
a
count that money for her. Just saying, you know what I mean? And she would tell me, maths is really just not my thing. And I believe her because other things are her thing.
Exactly.
And she excels in that.
And if we judge how smart a fish is by how well it could fly, they can't think it's stupid forever. It's have some students who just good at other things.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that.
And I also feel like the education system fails us in that particular way. I mean, as well as the parents and the support system, but I feel as teachers, we also need to identify where a student has strengths and try to work with the parent to hone those skills and develop those skills more instead of forcing a particular, narrative.
Yeah, a lot of times the parents want their kids to do a certain subject for themselves so that they could feel fulfilled and feel like they are successful, I guess, in their own group. I mean, a real good example, story time, is that after I did undergrad in psychology. I'd gone through the JET program to go teach English in Japan, right? And I went across to Japan, was making the same amount of money that I am making now as a doctor.
Wow.
I don't mean to laugh.
Outside of undergrad. I had just finished undergrad and I was making that amount of money. And when I came back, I remember that there was a one of my good friend's parents was like, so I was like on break I'd come to visit or something, and I was like, so when you gonna get a real job, like a real job. Besides that, and I felt them judge me based on the fact that I was in Japan teaching English or whatever. I was like, it was such a great job. But people think that if you're a doctor or a lawyer or engineer, and for people who trying to pressure their children to be doctors, it is not what you think. It's what it is right now. The landscape of the career is not what it
used to be.
What it used to be, because very important. A lot of medical students, when you're in medical school, the lecturers start telling you, hey, it's real saturated out here, it's going to be very difficult for you to get a job. So you're around year 3 when they start telling you that. So many doctors now are on 1 month contracts,
Wow.
3-month
Jeez.
contracts, 1
No.
and 3-month contracts, right? So I had a really good pathway. Like I was able to get through with psychiatry pretty fast, and I only just got a longer contract, like a more solid contract. And so I know a lot of my peers still on 1 month contract.
That
2-month
hard,
contract.
boy.
So you
Because that
can't-
means your month could up and that could be it.
that could be
Imagine trying to
that
get
could be-
loans.
Next
No, you
month,
can't.
we don't know how
You
the
can't-
bills
can't
pay
get a loan.
in.
You can't get a loan,
Yeah.
right?
My God.
And one of my coaches a long time ago, when I was planning, I was deciding to stop doing, like, being an athlete, and should I continue with medicine, be an athlete or whatever. He was like, yeah, I never saw a poor doctor yet, right? And and I was like, I guess, I guess. After going through medical school and becoming a doctor, it was because the amount of hours that you have to work as a doctor, you don't see them. You aren't going to see them because
No.
they're always at work.
Yes.
So it's kind
So
of
you
like,
don't see a poor doctor
Yeah, you don't
because
see
he
them.
at work.
yeah. So you're just at work.
It's
You're
not
at
that they
work,
don't
at work.
exist.
And then and then like 30 years later, they get enough qualifications, they get a good position where they're actually making money, but now they're like 47
And that's
years
when you're
old.
seeing them.
And then you'll see them
Then you
now
can see
with
them.
money, and they'll have like a Benz
So
over.
all the poor doctors are young and
doc-
working very hard, so you
very hard
can't
mash
see
up.
them.
Yeah, very hard and mash up. Yeah. But
Oh no.
yes. So takeaways, guys. If your child is having problems concentrating at school and they having problems concentrating at home, they really trying to see them put in an effort, please try to get them tested. You could get them tested by a psychologist or psychiatrist. You can access these services from a local community center that might give you a referral to go to a public hospital. Don't force your kids to do professions that were very prominent 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Look towards the future and what you think is going to be profitable in the future, in terms of technology, AI, video game production, simulations, that kind of thing, which is not what is the norm right now. And
See what they gravitate to as well.
see what these kids gravitate to. And if you are looking for extra educational support for your child, check out
Bali's tutor.
Bali's tutor. Wait,
Bali
no,
Tutor
Bali
Professional.
_S on
TikTok.
TikTok, and Bali's Tutor Professionals on YouTube, right? For great information, you could message David directly there if you want to do one-on-one tutoring. And guys, if you're enjoying this content that I'm creating, I'm really trying to provide quality, important conversations about Trinidadian culture, about West Indian culture, about important topics. Please like and subscribe the Edson Breedy Experience on YouTube, on TikTok. And if you follow us, you could keep up to date with any of the shorter, more up-to-date content that we're creating. So thanks, David, so much for coming out. Thanks, Kamada.
Pick up to our sponsors.
Yes, big up to our sponsors, Synapse Medical Services Limited, Nicholas, Dr. Nicholas Maraj. He was my
Help
body
him
double.
pass all his
He was my body double to this day. If I have
Help him
an
pass all his
exam,
exams.
if I have a medical exam, a neurological exam, I have part 2 of my psychiatry degree. Right, psychiatry postgrad. Right now we have a lot of neurology. He's the person that I'm going to be calling. He's going to be coming over here to help me study. He extremely intelligent, great service. So you can check out Synapse Medical Services Limited on Instagram and Facebook, as well as their website to learn how to access their services, which are located all across Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so we'll see you on the next episode, guys.
Bye.